Welcome to DAX Machina. Join us as we explore the mysteries of this world. Cryptids, monsters, macabre tales, and horror stories abound. Could they be true? Are monsters real?
Good evening, folks, and thank you for joining us on the 100th episode of DAX Machina. And I want to thank each and every one of you guys for being part of this journey. Before we get started, there's one thing I would like to do. I'm going to pop something up on the screen real quick. I want to dedicate this 100th anniversary to a dear friend of mine who passed away. His name is David Fott. He was an amazing artist, very good friend, and just an all-around great guy. I went to his memorial service last night, and I wanted to do this in honor of him because he was such a good friend. So David, if you can hear me, brother, we all miss you. Having said that, getting off a little emotional start there, but I want to thank you guys for joining us on the show. We're gonna have a lot of folks coming in and out tonight for this 100th anniversary and 100th episode anniversary, and I just want to thank each and every one of you. Tonight we've got Anthony joining us as usual. Pocket Doc Davis should be joining us in a little bit, and in the studio at the moment we've got Carrie and Mark, two awesome friends of the show. Guys, jump on in here.
Hey, look, man, just congratulations on 100. I know that it's not really an easy thing to get to in any niche subject. Trust me, to go up to 100 and beyond is perseverance.
Thank you, man.
So congratulations.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
It's been a fun journey, and I look forward to the next 100.
There you go. Right. And I remember our first 100 on film, and we were like so done. It was like a grind, man. So for you to get to 100, congratulations, man, because I understand the grind.
Thank you, man. It's been a lot of work, but it's been worth every minute of it.
Yeah.
So you guys have been up to some really interesting stuff here lately.
Yeah, I'd say so.
I would say that's putting it mildly, but you guys, just amazing stuff, guys. Carrie, do you want to tell us a little bit about some of the research you guys have been doing here lately?
Well, Mark and I kind of do different things. Mark is an actual Bigfoot researcher, and I'm more of a storyteller. So, being in the same subject, we just kind of said, I think we can bring what we can do together and make something pretty good. So I was kind of at a place where I felt like Mark had already had the goods. We needed to go a little bit further. And so we went to work, put together enough money to buy the kind of equipment we actually needed to do it. And it seems to be working. Mark and I we're in this 100% no matter what happens. And we've been very fortunate, I believe.
Yeah, I feel like that as well. To be able to continue, and then not only that, but expand and hopefully improve on what's been happening with crypto reality, but with Crypto Odyssey now. And I think that's a huge part of what ultimately will help, this move to the next level. There's a personal story behind a lot of what goes on, and Carrie's been doing that now with Bigfoot Odyssey for a while. And then there's the side in the woods that the people are experiencing, and we're studying that. And I think the combination is going to be great for people to see, especially the formula we have, with just kind of presenting and allowing people to make up their own minds.
But the evidence is really fleshing out better than I actually expected. I mean, I don't know what I expected. We bought a lens this freaking long, and because we wanted to reach out there where they were, and it actually happened the first time out. We were just trying to learn the camera and figure it out, because we use professional video cameras. We don't use right, where you mess with the ISO and the aperture and all that. We don't mess with all that crap. It's frame rate, megabytes per second, and what's my lighting, and that was it was something completely different for us with this new equipment. And it just it's like catching a fish on the first cast. Hopefully it's not we're not jinxed.
Doug, thank you for joining us, sir.
Get there.
Glad you're here tonight.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm a couple minutes late there.
No worries.
Congrats on your
Thank you,
100th
sir.
show.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, man. Thank you very much.
It's a big deal.
And Tanya Willis just gave us our first super chat. Says, congratulations on episode 100. Thank you for consistently bringing informative, engaging content and a dang good time. Well, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. It's been an interesting
Yes.
journey. We've experienced some pretty rapid growth. The channel's only just over a year old, and we're just getting started. We've got plenty more out there. Doug, I'm really glad you could join us tonight, because last time we had you on, we really got into some really good conversations, but I felt like there was so much more we could get into. We were just scratching the surface.
Never ends.
Well, it's such an interesting field.
Yeah, it is.
And every time you think you know something, you think you've got something figured out, there's something new.
Yeah, I'm constantly changing my opinions on things. That doesn't help any. You get wishy-washy on things, and I was just like looking at some bunch of trail cam photos that came in, where we put up about 100 pounds of venison.
No kidding.
And of course, the venison all disappears, and all we get is one blurry photo where it looks like a bunch of hair up against the lens. That's it. But you would think if it was a bear, that we would have gotten the bear, because you can't eat 100 pounds of venison instantly, and it was scattered all over.
It was Yogi and Boo Boo. One of them covered the lens while they grabbed
It's just
the
frustrating.
picnic basket.
So it's both a very rewarding field and very frustrating.
Well, the thing is like Kerry was just saying, they're trying new things with new equipment. This is an evolving field. Yeah. And I think Kerry and Mark are onto something with a lens like that, because I think the only way we're ever going to get really clear images is much the same way wildlife photographers will use those massive lenses from a distance, because you're not going to sneak up on something like that. You're not going to sneak up on a Bigfoot in the woods. It's going to know you're there long before you're even close.
Yep. Yeah, you need a lens so big that you have to have a tripod for your lens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've discovered that.
Well, I know you guys have had some initial success, but here's to much more success. I hope you guys just really nail it out there.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And just to let you know, it's a lot of hard work, and we're putting it in. That's what it takes,
Yeah.
Well, you know what they say? Anything worthwhile requires hard work. If it was easy, everybody'd do it.
Hey, he's killing me. I thought I worked hard already. Go to Florida. Mark's nasty. You better get your shoes on, because he's going to take you somewhere you aren't going to want to be.
Exactly.
Florida worries me. I'm used to the humidity in Missouri, and I think it's bad, but I think you get down there where the air is almost soup.
Well, bad enough. There's a monster down there that everyone's familiar with. That's 10 feet, and can eat you. But they're just on the ground, and they're just as invisible, and they're green too, and they got about 88 teeth or 80 teeth or so.
Mm-hmm.
So they, bad enough there are those monsters out there in those areas. So
and you actually got a taste that they can be a good distance from the water and be right in there where you're walking.
Yeah.
When you're so. And,
well, if you're working hard in Florida, Kerry, I congratulate you, because those forests down there they want to kill you.
Oh, it sucks, man.
And all the thorns and the snakes and God Almighty.
Mosquitoes the size of small Cessnas.
Yeah.
Mark.
It's one of the worst places I've ever.
Mark has done it his whole life, so he's kind of used to it, Mark's traipsing along through places, and I've got, I don't have enough eyes for everywhere I want to look, before I step. It's those kind of places, and but if you look at what we've gotten, and I know it's going to take a little bit, and it's hard for people to understand that sometimes these creatures have green faces. That's just something people are just going to have to start learning to accept, and hopefully we'll get the clarity to flesh that out and show that there's something with the foliage and their face. It's some kind of adaptation where they just look like the bushes at sometimes. and then you see those with the gray and the black, but when the conditions are right and that sun's on them, it just seems to turn into the Hulk,
Yeah, we get the white skin, and that's something that we only recently started catching on film is individuals with bright white skin, and the effect of diffusion in the forest is extreme off the face. It's real easy to see that. There's a documentary actually on an artist on, I believe it's Netflix. It's on Vermeer, and he was a famous painter who was really adept for his time period in matching colors, and they couldn't figure out how this guy was so good, but it turned out he was using a box technique where it was an image in a mirror, and he was able to actually duplicate color that way. But one of the things that's in the documentary is they have on the wall a white card, and they move the white card through colors, and the white card changes into every single color they move it into. It's on the wall. It doesn't matter what color it is, the white card turns into it. And their skin on some of these individuals that we captured on film appears to be bright white. And in certain light under the canopy, they start to glow green, but they can also pick up any other colors that are being transmitted underneath that canopy as well. And we're seeing this in the footage live, where you can see colors flashing across the white skin and it turning green and then back white and sometimes gray. And if they move into the shadow of a tree, the white just gets dark, the exact color of the shadow. White picks up all of the other colors because it's a non-color. It's achromatic. I know, shocking.
Yeah, we got to process that. When you guys started talking about the clear hair shafts and the gray skin picking up the colors around it, to me it just made perfect sense.
Yeah, they're blending in real time, and it's actually pretty confusing to witness the first couple of times. But once you catch on to what really is going on, and you understand the phenomenon, which ends up being a solar interaction with the color of their skin and their hair. When you understand that, you can begin to identify these individuals when they're there in real time. And so for the last couple of years, we've been working on that, identifying individuals in real time. The addition of the new equipment to the research that Carrie and I are now beginning to take this to the next level, I really think that we're going to see things that are going to shock people into understanding what's going on. But the level of clarity on the first attempt, although albeit accidental, we were in the right place, and we're in a place where we've captured these individuals before, and they don't seem to be going anywhere. This is repetitive documentation. So in the end, I think Carrie's right. I think we're in for some pretty spectacular things if we can continue the research and continue the way we're going.
Doug, do you think something like that was what you were experiencing up at Snell Grove? You said they were just basically outside the campfire light and you guys couldn't see them.
Right. Yeah, no, we couldn't see anything. There's certainly a reason. Everything has a reason in nature, and there's a reason that they have no medulla, that their hair is very wispy, very transparent. I was looking at some other ones under the microscope and using different frequencies of light. And yeah, it's interesting. I mean, you guys certainly a long ways from proving it to science, which are, your theories, but you could be onto something. It's good to go with something. I mean, it could take you guys years, right. But I think that's a good direction. Why not?
Well, it's just what the evidence is fleshing out. You hear people talk about cloaking, and that, for all intents and purposes, appears to be the case. I just don't think it's a switch they flip and just turn invisible. It seems to be something autonomic, as some kind of adaptation where they're just perfectly camouflaged and you can't see them.
Yeah, the stories I hear constantly are that it took one step in the woods and was gone.
Yeah.
Cannot see it.
The theories that we're using and we're going off of, that we're actually catching more data from, are rooted in science that's already been established. Optics is a big part.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Things like fiber optics.
Also color, the science of colors. And so all of that stuff, along with the science of diffusion and then the the solar interaction that comes. And it's really interesting because with the footage, you can literally measure the amount of interaction on the individuals based on how bright the sun of the day is at the time you're shooting. You can literally see how it slows down. Yeah. It's interesting. And also with wind, as the canopy shifts, you get a lot of variations on these individuals. Where Kerry was photographing what appears to be an individual we've documented before, and his face is bright green at that second, because we're shooting at 60 frames per second. In 0.3 of a second, it could have been brown. You know?
Got him in the same place.
The phenomenon we've been witnessing.
Derek Buckles asks, does this color adaptation work in lunar and no light situations?
Well, the white, the thing about having the achromatic skin is it's a non-color. So it doesn't matter what it moves into, it adopts instantly as it moves into it. So if an individual is standing half out of shadow and there's no diffusion on that part of this individual's body and it's in direct sunlight, you will see the natural color of the individual. But if the individual other half is in shadow, it will appear that half an individual is standing there.
I think what he's asking,
created by the sun interacting with the creature's skin, is what we're documenting.
Well,
and yes, we are a long way from doing it, but I think that footage, like with Kerry, was shooting when he was here last. It's just another huge nail in the coffin to associate this with the phenomenon that already exists. So.
Yeah, and that's all we're doing. We're trying different things and trying to figure it out. I think what the question was asking was about the moon, Mark, and to me, if the moon is a factor at all, it's already dark outside, so they're going to be hard enough to see anyway. But I can imagine, the moon's just reflective light from the sun. This just seems the stronger.
I just sent you an image, Kerry, of a thermal of one with its head halfway behind a tree and halfway out, and you can see a shadow line from the tree, and it's in the moonlight.
Yeah, well, thermal too.
On thermal too.
We're not using our regular cameras at night in the moonlight anyway, so we're using thermal and night vision.
It's very interesting. I took a report not terribly long ago, where it was broad daylight, sunny day, right in the middle of the afternoon. Walked in front of a guy's truck and then took a step over a barbed wire fence, and he just claimed it was just gone. He tried to see it. He figured it would be walking, continued walking in these kind of a reprod area, just a bunch of small aspen trees. He should have been able to see it, and he said he couldn't. And it is interesting, and you hear those stories over and over and over, and I do puzzle over it.
Doug, you said you've been looking through.
Wasn't it your show, DA, that we had the guy on here who was talking about the Bigfoot that stepped back into tree line at dusk and just
gone.
Yeah.
It turned green. He said it had a green glow, and it was gray when it was outside the tree line. As it went back in, it turned green. We have an eyewitness on here that witnessed the phenomenon.
So to get me caught up, is your theory that they have like chromatophore type skin, like a squid? Or is it just the hair? It's just a line of hair.
Like that. What it is, it's so simple that it literally threw me for a loop, because I had to explain what I was seeing in the field. I saw this thing, and it was like greens all over its face, but varying degrees, because there were saw palmettos blowing. It was broad daylight. It made no sense to me how this thing. I couldn't understand what I was looking at. Anyway, I started to look up optics, and then colors became a natural part of the research. And in the end, I was able to start to understand the values in achromatic coloration. That's from the white, brightest white, all the way to the darkest black, which Sasquatch black I call void. So that void color, it has nothing. I mean, it's nothing. It's like the blackest black you've ever seen. But any shade of those in between, any of those colors or those non-colors on that entire scale can receive and transmit any other color. But white, especially the brightest white, can literally turn black. And so that's what I'm saying. I've interviewed eyewitnesses over the years as a field investigator, where I was interviewing Sasquatch eyewitnesses down here in South Florida who said literally this creature took one step into the tree line and vanished, Mark. I'm telling you, he was gone. And we're in what you're describing, Doug, and then what DA on the show 3 weeks ago, clearly the gentleman described, it was about a month ago, my own encounters and the first encounter I had, where the subject appeared to vanish into the salt mounds. It's just the consistency led me to all of this stuff. And so the achromatic coloration is just the color of the skin. And yeah, obviously they're not using chemicals, right? So they have probably some grease on there. The hair samples that we have are so greasy. It's almost disgusting. Like when you really look at the hair samples, I don't know if you've had a chance to look at the hair samples, Doug, but they're caked with oil. And the samples themselves sometimes can reach 22 inches, and they're covered all the way with oil.
Yeah, it's pretty gross.
Nice taper tips and big blue pump. But the colors of the hair only, and the nature of the hair only complements the achromatic coloration of the skin. We're literally looking at a blank canvas that walks around transmitting whatever colors hit its body. It retransmits it, period. In those examples of individuals that have those colorations, that's what I've witnessed with my own two eyes and what I've personally taken encounters down here from 3 different people who had the exact same type of individual, with the exact same colors, do the exact same thing.
But is the theory based on what the hair is doing or what the skin and the hair is doing in combination?
Well, the hair is obviously separate because although it can be achromatic, it has, if you've examined some of this strange hair, it has unusual properties that are, the light reacts, it seems to refract off of it. And the hairs that I've examined weren't round. The hairs that I examined had angles all the way around them, and they were flat parts on it. And it was just interesting to me the way the light played off of that. It was almost
it's funny you mentioned that because I looked at a hair yesterday that I can't identify. It doesn't look like black bear, but it's black. But when I put it under my 1,000 power endoscopic microscope, it looked like it had angles on it, and I was kind of puzzled by it. It's the first hair I've seen that had very distinct angles on it.
That's interesting.
It's definitely a hair. It's not plant matter.
So I think I think what you're asking to answer your question would be there's two separate phenomena because it's two very, very different parts of the creature that are really incredible to if this is what it is that we've examined.
Could it be like an undercoat and outer coat like on a dog?
No one we've sent the hair to can make heads or tails of it. It's been studied. Supposedly, it's still in Mexico right now at Acapulco State University, I believe, still being studied. They don't know what it is, and it's interesting. So, but the skin phenomenon is happening at the same time. So we've got a double feature.
Oh, it's a combo, yeah.
Of optical illusion.
Theory is
a double feature of optical illusion going on, and it's created, I believe, based on our data, from a solar interaction.
Well, you realize, it could be different too, because even gorillas can change the color of their skin. Are you aware of that?
I was not aware of that.
Oh, gorillas can instantly change the color of their skin.
Wow.
They can go from very light colored to very dark gray to purple.
Imagine that's a blood.
Sure, it's all based on their blood.
If that exists in one primate, it's logical that it could easily exist in another.
Yeah, sure, because my face can get red. So,
right. Yeah, many of the gorilla researchers describe them changing colors, right? Their skin changing colors right in front of them.
Wow,
that's amazing.
That's actually pretty crazy. I sent you some pictures, Doug.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah, and I haven't had time to study much.
It's just the ones that we were talking about, and what I was saying is there's another similar to that. It's not quite as clear detail, but it's still pretty clear that Richard Borchardt captured about 30 miles from the place we captured that one. Same effect, bright sun, same color, green, but when you see the outline of the creature itself, it's dark. You don't, the hair doesn't look like. You can actually see these creature shoulders, and you see this apex head, and you see this dark hair coming off, but the face just gleams green. But what you do see is the sun shining off of the apexes of the curves of the face, right, which is shows that it absolutely has depth, and it's pretty clear, but it's hard to convince. Someone told me it's too green. Can't be a Sasquatch, it's too green. So I don't know what that means. They're
Well,
very nice gentlemen to say
all you guys can do is just run with your theory and just keep
Sure.
trying to prove it. That's the way science works.
Absolutely.
That's it.
Yeah, I want to take a quick second to welcome Matt Williamson from Supernatural Spectrum and Jessica Jones, both to the show, the Cryptid Huntress. Appreciate you guys popping in for the 100th anniversary, 100th episodes. Thank you guys for joining us.
Absolutely.
Hey.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, congratulations. And hey, Matt, how you doing?
Hey, Jessica, how you doing?
Hey, good. It's good to see everybody. And I'm only going to be able to hop in for about a minute because I've got a show that's about to start. So
Okay. Well, thank you
Yeah,
for
you
jumping
do.
in.
Yeah,
I really
thanks.
appreciate it.
I wanted to say congratulations on your 100th episode. And DA, I'm going to see you tomorrow. Right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Looking forward to it.
All right. Hey, you guys have a great show tonight and congrats. Okay.
Thank you for popping by.
Okay. Bye, y'all.
I think she's still in.
Hey, I know what it's like to have a bunch of people on DA whenever you need me to.
Yeah, same here.
But at the moment,
Cycle right on
we're
out.
doing pretty good. I'm enjoying the conversation you guys we're having here with Doug, because to me it's like the meeting of the minds. Because I know Doug and I have discussed their ability to kind of vanish, and the approach you guys are making, coupled with what Doug has observed, to me is just absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, I just hope we can get some answers at some point.
Yeah,
So-
I
we
think
can
answers
prove
are coming.
it,
I just don't know if the world's ready to accept them.
Yeah, that's the thing. And Doug hasn't seen what we're talking about either. So
Well, how many times have you talked to somebody? And this is a question for everybody here. And Anthony is a prime example. How many times have you talked to somebody that said, "I didn't believe in any of that until I saw one"?
I'm here, right here.
There, so many people, they're like, "Oh, they couldn't exist." If they were out there, science would have found it by now. That's a lot of baloney. And then they go out on a hunting expedition, and one approaches their deer stand, and everything changes.
Yeah. Yeah, seeing and still believing.
Last thing I thought I'd ever see was a 7.5 foot caveman. It looked like a man, long man's hair, the whole thing, it was just like the craziest thing I ever saw, gray, bright gray, and he turned colors. I couldn't explain it,
I took an encounter report not too long ago. He's a Native American, lives down in Oklahoma, and he said he was out backpacking along a riverbank and rounded a bend in the trail, and there was one standing in the trail, and it looked at him, and when it realized he was there, it just kind of stepped off the trail and brought its hands up like that, and he said, "I never saw it again." It was like it just disappeared.
Wow.
That's interesting.
Interesting.
He said he didn't hear it leave. He walked past the spot where it had vanished, wasn't there, couldn't find it. He didn't hear it disappear, but he said as soon as it stepped into the bushes, it was gone.
Wow.
Well, it all makes sense. It's not a wonder we don't have, as good of images, as many, really, really good images, is because for that very reason, I believe. That's to me the most plausible thing when you hear the stories like that. Hey, it just disappeared. Hey, it walked into a portal. Hey, it just, it knows how to cloak. These are all perceptions, obviously, and they may be 100% correct. But, possibly being able to pin down one explanation, I think moves us at least forward a little bit. If not, even if it's just a few inches, we're not going backward.
Yeah, I think our goal of really learning how to document these creatures is starting to we're gaining ground, and that's really what this whole thing was about with crypto reality. Was we have to learn how to document these creatures. This is going on way too long.
I agree.
And so until it's done, we're not stopping. And so, like I said, I look at Carrie and I's partnership and what we're getting ready to do as probably the most important thing that I've done in 7 years, because this is when we can begin to document our assumptions, and all of this stuff can start being corroborated. And I've been just waiting for this for so long. And for Carrie to come down here and do what he did on the first trip is just I think a testament to his drive to do it, because the review of the film that Carrie shot has proven that he's really got a knack for this, and I don't know how else to say it, man. The footage that he shot in 2 different places, I was able to literally take from one shot and in one place and corroborate to documentation that I have of the same individual for the last 3 years. And in another spot, he did the exact same thing. And not only that, but we did it with 3 different types of cameras. So it's really interesting that, the second he comes down, man,
we had to reach out there.
I was really happy about that.
We just had to reach out there with something. DA, you saw it. You tell us.
To me, I mean, it's some of the clearer images I've seen. I mean, it's not one of those where you got to cock your head and then draw a red circle around it. It's not obviously pareidolia. When you look at it, for the first time you look at it, you're like, what am I looking at? And then you see it. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. I mean, it's really astounding images.
Thank you.
Yes, really.
Means a lot.
To me, when Anthony sent them to me, I looked at them and I was like, I don't know, what am I looking at? And then it was like those old those old images they used to have all the time. You had to kind of cock your head and see if you could get it to come into focus. At first, I was looking at it, and then it was like, there it was. And once I saw it, I was like, oh my God, look at that.
The effect of the sun off his skin, it makes it glow almost. So once you see it, it's like the brightest thing in the tree line,
I did the same
Derek
thing.
Buckles had a question for you guys. Says, in the process of taking film of these reflecting or scattering light, does a higher frame rate per second help to catch better pictures?
100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The more data you get, period. And, but the issue is this, right? Like you can have cameras that shoot at high frame rates, but what Carrie and I seem to be undergoing are these issues where you run into storage at a high processing rate. And then not only that, but compatibility issues. So there are a lot of there's a technical side to this whole thing that is like troubleshooting constantly with new equipment, and even with the equipment, once we get it troubleshot with the phenomenon that's going on where, we're receiving interference at times and we can't explain it yet, so there's a lot going on with the technology.
So what did you shoot video, or is it stills? Is it what frame rate? And
100 frames per second at 4K. So we had to get 300 megabyte per second cards. Yeah, we had to get 300 megabyte per second cards.
Yeah.
And you don't have a ton of room when you're shooting that, at that rate. Yeah. It's still not a lot of room. And then now it's having a processor on the back end to really handle it.
Yeah, and again, this is just the start. Like I look at what we, initially accomplished, basically trying out the new technology, and it's like, wow, when we really get our intention with that technology, it's going to be something, because the area doesn't seem to dump. They seem to stay there, So
it was a lot of research between, two camera guys. Essentially, we weren't that kind of camera guy. We were the professional video camera guys. And, when you move into something there where you have to have a camera and marry it to a specific type of lens, you have to really dig in and find out what does what are your limitations, what are the benefits, and then you got to look at cost. We had to dig really deep to get something that could reach out there with the light, reach into the shadow clearly like we wanted it to. And it took, there was 3 people doing research on it. And finally we settled on this combination, and you got a guest here. Get him.
Guys, I want to introduce you to Jason Kinsey. Jason's been on the show before, and this might be the perfect guy to introduce you guys to. Jason started out as a wildlife photographer before he got into Bigfoot hunting, and he's captured some really good images and found trackways where no one could have possibly been. I'm way out in the deep woods. Jason, Mark Zaski, Carrie Arnold, Doug Hajicek from MonsterQuest, and Matt Williamson from Supernatural Spectrum.
How you doing, Jason?
Hey guys. Hey guys, how are you?
For our 100th episode, man.
Yeah, hey, thanks. How's everything going? Yeah, it's been a pretty wild ride going into the Bigfoot realm. And I know that Doug is also a wildlife photographer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's all I used to do. That's how I got my start, I guess. That's how I ended up getting up into the Arctic and seeing those tracks for the first time. doing
I think
wildlife
it's the
photography.
techniques used by you guys, the wildlife photographers, those long lenses from a distance. I think that's going to be our best chance of getting clear images.
Doug,
Much like
Yeah.
Mark and Carrie are doing now.
Doug, you found a trackway in the Arctic.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh man, could you just elaborate?
Sure. I was up there trying to get footage of giant lake trout that were over 6 feet long. And I was up there with a biologist, and we were working on getting underwater footage. But literally, it was kind of a rough day. We needed to go pee. So we all decided to go to shore. And we get out of the boat, and there's these huge tracks that were actually coming out of the shallow water. When you get up about by the 60th parallel, it gets it's almost like going up to the Caribbean. A lot of sand everywhere, sand eskers, and the trees are stunted. And so we started following those tracks, and they were really clear, about 16 inches. And we followed them up to the pea gravel, and they were even dented into the pea gravel really deep. And I was with a 300-pound guy, and I said, Rick, get up on that rock and jump. See if you can dent the soil. And he did, and it didn't even dent it. And it was literally raining. The day we found those tracks, it was drizzling, so that, the soil wasn't dry.
Wow.
So we kept following the tracks. Now we're into the tundra area where it's, mossy and squishy, a lot of peat. And the tracks were super deep into the tundra, and they were spaced far apart, just like in a straight line, just like you'd see some of the early Bluff Creek tracks. They were in a very straight line. And what got me as a wildlife guy is I get up to where the track stopped right in front of a tree trunk. I mean, literally right in front of a tree trunk. And I looked behind the tree, and there was another track directly behind the tree. That means it stepped over the tree.
Mm.
And we're talking about a 7-foot tall, stunted black spruce. So they're not real big, but I couldn't, as a human, attempt to step over a tree like a weed. And then we went beyond this little forested, it was just like a little outcrop of trees. Then you get back out into the tundra again, and you could see those tracks going off into the horizon. Spaced quite a bit apart, but in a straight line, just going off literally into the horizon. And we tried to get the float plane pilot. We went back to camp, tried to get the float guy up, and he was so pissed at us, thinking we were playing a hoax on him, which is a kind of a common thing in these camps, where you pick on Steve, find a victim, and you play an elaborate hoax where everybody's in on it. He thought that's what was going down. He threw his clipboard.
Man. Come on.
Yeah, he threw his clipboard against the wall and said, "Get the F out of my tent." And me and Rick backed off, and I never approached him again. But my idea was to get the plane up so there's no trees. This thing couldn't hide. So you could follow the tracks because they were so deep and so visible to an end. That was my goal. And I regret not going back to him and trying to convince him we were not pranking him. Although I don't know if we could have. But that's the story.
You literally went to the Arctic, and you were in a plane. You had to fly into this area.
Oh, God, 6 hour.
And you're in the area, and you land on a float plane, correct?
Yes.
This is high adventure, man. You got this high adventure up in here, man. He flew in, lands on a lake, and finds giant hominoid tracks.
Yeah.
Come
How
on,
big?
man.
Wait. How big?
I
How
do-
big?
I
was the
do-
track?
I envy you that. I envy you that.
If you
No doubt.
if you look at a map, you can find Uranium City, which is abandoned, and then go north east from a Uranium City. You'll see a lake called Selwyn Lake, and it's a huge lake. I mean, you can't even see across it. And that's the lake we were going to, which we thought was our best chance of getting underwater footage of giant lake trout.
Did you find any?
Yeah, we found giant lake trout, but they weren't the giants that we had. We got into 46, 47-inch lake trout there.
That's
Still
still
a big
big.
trout.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's a
they're big,
trophy right there.
but- Oh yeah. Yeah. They're over 30 pounds.
How
But
big was the tracks, Doug? How big was the tracks?
16 to 14. It's that same thing. We didn't have a tape measure with us, So we just kind of, eyeballed him up and had Rick's foot. Rick was this huge guy, was with us, and his foot with a big rubber boot fit inside these things.
That's a big trick.
They were big. Yeah. So I would estimate exactly no smaller than 16, but they could have been 14 because I'm talking about the foot size, because how soil can displace.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I don't want to exaggerate, but minimum 14, certainly, I thought easy 16.
William Bedard gave us a super chat, and he had a question for you, Doug. He says, what's the favorite monster you guys found on MonsterQuest?
Oh, I don't know. Probably, just getting footage of the giant squid that we did.
The giant squid footage was amazing.
Verified it was the first footage of an Architeuthis duck, so that was cool.
Yeah.
Of a free swimming, alive creature in its natural habitat.
Oh, it's fantastic.
So that was probably kind of cool. I guess that looked good on my resume.
The Architeuthis is great, man, but the one in the Sea of Cortez that's unconfirmed still is the one.
No, that's the one. It was confirmed now.
Oh, was it confirmed? Okay.
History hired a whole bunch of forensic people, and they did a 2-hour show last year using the footage, and they got it verified. It was
with the eye.
Yeah, they got everything all verified. Yeah.
Now that was some groundbreaking footage right there. That right there confirmed 3 encounters from mariners that I've taken over 30 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you can imagine an eye 1.5 feet wide, that's pretty amazing.
That's a big eye.
You just think people are, big
eye. Yeah, it probably was the biggest eye ever photographed. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Imagine the size of the suckers on the tentacles.
Yeah, they're about the same size as the eye, so they were 1.5 feet too.
Wow.
The tentacles, yeah.
If that thing gets a hold of you, you're done.
Oh yeah, you're done. Well, then they have hooks. They have these little chitin hooks on each tentacle.
Not
so
to
you can imagine one of those. Yeah, it's not good.
Rip you to pieces.
You're done.
Well, the beak alone is so strong.
Yeah.
If it gets a hold of you, it'll slice you like, a hot knife through butter.
Yeah, it'll take even a small squid like 4.5 feet will take baseball-sized chunks out of you.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a parrot's beak on steroids.
Yeah, parrot's beak.
Yeah, pretty much.
Exactly.
That's enough to make you want to stay out of the water.
It'd be really fun to just talk to you and Carrie alone and just kick around, just hear about everything you're doing, and maybe I can throw in an experiment or two for you to try.
Wow. That's
sure, man.
That's awesome. We really appreciate that, Doug.
There's just got to be a way. It's going to be a multi-step process. I've always figured that, and it's going to take a group of people putting their heads together.
Well, so many things definitely have to come together. First, you have to be in a viable area, and then you just got to be tenacious, I guess, and luck is a factor. We just don't know enough to be able to pattern them very well. Mark has done a pretty dang good job, and I say 50% is good because that's about what his rate is. About half the time you go out there, experience something, but that's probably a lot of going out. It may be more than that, Mark. I don't know. I'm kind of guessing through there, but you don't get anything every time. But just having a viable area and having the right light and having your camera on and all these things, even being out there and ready. Well, it's this thing we say it's ABF, man. Always be filming. That's hard to do.
Are you from Northwest Florida, Mark?
No, I've been in Southeast Florida.
Oh, Southeast.
For about 39 years, 40 years.
Okay.
There, since the 80s.
Okay.
And been involved in, actually was just thrust into this as a kid when I moved here. I moved right to a street where the first week I lived here, horses were being attacked on a ranch 3 houses down from ours by giant gray monsters, hairy monsters. And the police were shooting at them and telling us to run, go back, get away, that kind of stuff,
Wow.
Well, I heard my first wood knock in Florida. First time ever was in Florida.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I can tell you this. I didn't really see anything, and I was out there a lot. And it really wasn't until I started to actually really pay attention to what was going on around me. I mean, I learned that my focus is what my focus is. And so I have to there's a different focus for this, and I learned that over time. But it's interesting because even as much of the fishing I did out here in these areas, I would have never thought that the situation is what we're learning. I would have never thought that, So
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, Doug, I'm sure you and Jason both can understand just the struggles of carrying a 16-pound rig on a tripod through the woods. It's to get an image at all is a miracle, I think.
Yeah.
Very
No, to do anything is a miracle. I mean, there's so many things that can go wrong on any little expedition any given day.
Oh, we know it.
Just so many things. Everything's out to get you.
Yeah, it really is. It's one of those things where preparedness in the moment is a necessity, and it takes a lot to get used to that. No matter what you plan, kind of thing. It's an organic changing environment the whole time you're there, and everything changes. So learning to adapt to that aspect of the research has been probably the trickiest part.
Yeah, you're talking 10% proactive and 90% reactive.
Yeah,
without a doubt.
Yeah, you make your assumptions and then you let the wild things play out. Place your bets.
Is there a certain time of year where the canopy is a little more? I mean, when are most of the leaves falling in Southeast Florida? Still like in January, December?
It just depends on the type of tree. Most of the ground brush doesn't die away.
Oh,
so we have constant cover even through the winter on the ground, but some of your your pines and that kind of stuff will thin out, and then really the canopies thin out. So when the creeks die out, the canopies thin out. When the canopies thin out, everything moves out of the area or seems to adopt new strategies. And then looking at that, we've, in the last 2 years, we've been working a dry creek bed, trying to ascertain how it is they use it. And you see drastically different situations where you're catching footage in different ways because the cover's different. So yeah, I think seasonally we see patterns in how they'll choose to observe the activities we engage in as part of our experiment, because we're trying to draw their attention, and that's how we've been basically catching them on film.
Right.
Instead of going after them, we learned early on that didn't work really well. They're way too fast, way too powerful, and you can put yourself in a dangerous situation by accident every now and then. So we adopted this other strategy, and then in looking at that, we have to engage with the cover differently in every expedition, because here in South Florida, in particular, the growth seasons, you can have a 12-inch change in 24 hours in some of these areas. And you can go into a place and look, and it's totally different from the day before where you're shooting. And so the lanes where they typically will line up to catch an apple from us have changed, and there's a lot of different situations. So yes, I think the influence of the cover and the brush, it plays a huge part on what we actually come out of the field with as far as data.
Yeah.
Randy Spurl asked, he says, Doug, what do you feel the wood knocks are saying? And we had another question that's kind of related to that. Tiny Mills says, are wood knocks, some people say wood knocks are good for researchers to employ and test for response, and others say it's not something one should do for multiple reasons. What do you guys think the wood knocks mean, and are they a good idea for us to try to repeat them?
Well, I just think it's just their way of, communicating with each other, warning each other. The one I got in Florida, the first one, we were out in the swamp, I don't know, 2, 3 in the morning, and we did a wood knock. I mean, it was just, it was quiet. Did one wood knock, and we got a response back. So, I don't know. I mean, it's obviously just to communicate with each other. Although I don't really even think they're knocking wood. So I don't think they can grab a stick of wood and get up to the right tree that quick. They must be doing it with their mouth or some other method, hands or mouth. But sure, it does sound like a wood knock.
I would agree. You got to think that if these creatures are so good at hiding from us, they're probably just as good at hiding from each other. I think it may be possibly a form of location. Hey, I'm right here, and maybe they're doing it with their mouth, or we do that or something. I can hear people. I know people that do that really loud.
Yeah,
I can pop with just my tongue, and you can hear it for a long distance. I used to do it in the woods all the time.
Do that.
Go ahead, DA. We want to hear it.
Yeah, man, do it. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. See, that's
wood to me.
good.
It's pretty good.
I do this when I do it.
Yeah.
Works pretty well.
That sounds a lot less like wood, though.
I learned to do
DA
that thing
sound
with
like
my
wood.
tongue when I was a kid. I used to do it all the time to annoy my brothers.
The thing is, we've been up in Canada and we've done unexpected wood knocks and got answers just like that, right next to us. And you know damn well they weren't walking around with a club.
And
then just happened to get to a tree. I mean, the response was too quick.
Yeah.
So. Mark and I don't knock. Well, the only reason we don't is because we're kind of giving ourselves away. Not that we're trying to hide or sneak or anything, but I think the less they feel like you're after them, maybe the more comfortable they are peeking out. Just that's really, you're not getting much more than that most of the time, is them just peeking out.
Yeah.
The way I use it, and it's been very, very consistent and very successful, is we'll get into a new camp or wherever we are, do a couple of wood knocks, and that's it. Never again. It's just calling card, we're here. Something's here. If you want to see what it is, it could be a rival, could be another family member, or some other Bigfoot. The point is, then usually we'll come into camp or come near us. But we don't repeatedly do wood knocks, or like walk around and do them. It's just kind of a one and done. But it seems to work, if we're in a new area and you do a wood knock, and either by that night or the next day, you're going to have activity.
Guys, let me introduce. This is Fred Roll. Fred's a Yupik native from up in Alaska. I think we just lost him. I think his internet comes in by dog sled. Oh, you can hear us? We just can't see you anymore. There we go.
Yeah.
He's been documenting some of the native encounters in Alaska.
Subarctic Bigfoot.
Yeah.
That's
fantastic stuff
Hey,
he's been
Fred,
documenting.
I was going to say, you are a great storyteller, my man. You're amazing. You're really
thanks.
good. Yeah, I enjoy listening.
I appreciate that.
Enjoy listening to your stories. They're great.
I appreciate that, guys. Hey, congrats, DA.
Hey, thank you, man. I really appreciate it.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Just can't see you.
Yeah, we got the right. It's that Alaska lag. All right. I'm out in the woods.
I'm surprised you got signal.
Right.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I'm on top of a Tennessee mountain just to get it. Just kidding. It's the hill in my backyard. a little better signal. Yeah. Hey, how's it going, Kerry? Mark?
How you doing, Fred?
Good, man. How you doing?
So
Good,
wasn't it Anthony sent me? I think Anthony sent me your link.
Mm-hmm.
Fred.
Anthony's been sending the links out to a lot of folks.
Yeah, so he sent me your link.
Oh yeah.
Fred. And obviously that's where I had my first experience, up in the subarctic or in the Arctic. 60th parallel north of there. We probably were, maybe towards the 70th parallel. So we're getting pretty far north. But yeah, it's an unexplored area for Bigfoot, man.
Yeah, my experience happened on the 59th parallel. So, there's I think there might be something to that as well, as far as their aggressive nature, but that's still a work in progress, trying to figure that out.
Well, anything that lives in a much colder climate needs a very high caloric intake just to stay alive.
Oh yeah, definitely. Sorry, I've had black bear activity on my property last couple of days, so I'm aware of my surroundings, so to speak. So
that would be a first on the show, is have somebody with a black bear doing a photo bomb behind him.
Right, just get my attention if you do see it walk by
if I see
behind
one,
me.
I'll let you know.
Appreciate it.
You must live right on the edge of their range. Black bears, I wouldn't think, would go much farther north than where you are.
Right now I'm in Wasilla, Alaska. I live in the Matanuska-Susitna Valley. I don't live in Bristol Bay. There's not enough work there at the moment.
You collecting sightings there?
Oh yeah, I have a interactive map that you can go. It's the state of Alaska, and it has marker pins of encounters, and you touch the marker pin, and it'll pull up an encounter I shared from the area.
Yeah, the map, his
That's
interactive
awesome.
map is great. You guys should check it out. It's Subarctic
Absolutely.
Sasquatch. If you guys haven't seen his channel,
I'll definitely be looking into it. It's very interesting to me. I definitely want to see. I've been thinking about maybe doing something like that again for South Florida, because I think that there's a lot more here in South Florida than they actually have on the BFRO map.
oh, I think there's a lot more sightings than are on the BFRO map. And
Yes.
I just don't think that it's completely updated all the time. And then again, there's a lot of people that just don't give their accounts to the BFRO.
Absolutely.
I can say this though, the encounters that I've investigated that are on there, the areas that I investigated are now our research areas, entirely based off the anecdotes from the BFRO.
Anthony had a sighting in one of Mark's areas that he goes to.
Oh yeah, that's right. I remember. Yeah.
Yeah.
To answer somebody,
Yeah, I'm just
somebody said earlier that I don't. They're asking if I talk. Yes, I do talk.
Yeah.
I talk too much on my own show, so when I get invited to a big panel like this, I like to sit and listen for a change. You know, my perspective is that when I'm with a good group of guys like this, I get to sit back and listen and learn. It's all knowledge for me.
That's the approach I take. I mean, I'm just in, our guests right here alone, we've got years of experience. And every time I get to talk with Mark or Carrie or Doug or even Fred, I learn something new.
Yeah. Mark's the real deal, man. I've had him and Carrie both on my show, and I've been out in the field with these guys, and it gets pretty crazy.
You had an encounter. You were with us, Matt, didn't you?
Yeah. Yes, sir, I did.
Yeah.
Which one? Talking about the last one?
The gruff with Richard.
Yeah, that was interesting. That was the first time that they've ever screamed at me in a way that it rattled my ribcage. I've heard that being encountered by a lot of people. When they talk about how they've been screamed or roared at or whatever. I've heard them off in a distance. I've caught them on audio, but I've never heard it that close where it actually rattled my ribcage. It was exciting. The adrenaline was definitely up in that night, and I can't wait to see.
You know what? Listen to this. They never turned their flashlights on. Per my request, they stayed in the dark through the encounter, and the encounter happened. And I know that's why the encounter happened. We've gone in that place, and every time we have the flashlights, it's almost nothing. When we go in that particular area, we go in without lights, and it's like Nightmare Alley,
Richard was pretty shaken up.
Yeah, he was.
After that,
I felt very bad.
I was unaware that Richard was having an issue, and otherwise, I mean, you look at it and it's like, it's one of those things where, if you're skeptical and you're going into this, it can be an experience that you're not going to forget. And I think anybody who would listen to what I was saying before we went the last 100 feet was probably skeptical. I flat out said it, and so in the end, I think, I've heard the individual, and I left, and Richard and you stayed there in the dark with that creature. And so, I mean,
yeah. And did I ever end up actually filming that creature?
We had so much footage. The thermal footage that you shot will be reviewed this week to try to confirm the rear of the encounter, because I shot before.
Yeah, because you got it from the front.
I got him from the front, and you got him from the rear. Plus, you heard him. So we'll see. We got to see what was documented from the rear.
Yeah, it was interesting. That was the first time that I actually really used a thermal, because like I've told these guys when I was out there, I'm blind in my left eye. So when I'm out in the dark, pitch black with a thermal, and I pulled that thermal off my eye, I can't see a thing. Yeah. And so it gets a little uncomfortable, especially when, you have that roar happen right there within, it felt like at least 50 yards to our left when we walked down that trail. And I couldn't see a thing other than what I was looking at in the thermal.
It's frightening. There's no doubt about it.
yeah, it got really dicey really fast, and I'm very
When you
glad.
guys heard that scream, was it multi-tonal?
Yeah, it sounded like it had like an actual voice to it, but it also sounded like there was a lower vibration happening at the same time.
The last time Doug was on the show, we went into this,
Guttural.
and Doug's got a really, really compelling theory about this, and it relates to certain Native Americans and Mongolians. Doug, do you want to go explain that a little bit?
Yeah. Actually, it was Yvette that pointed out to me. She said, "Have you ever checked out throat singing?" And so I went on YouTube, and I had heard of it, and I think I'd looked at it before, but the connection was real interesting because I thought, oh yeah, why don't we get throat singing to somebody like David Ellis and have them compare the form and structure of throat singing to some of the Bigfoot recordings, because he's got 8,500 Bigfoot recordings. It was the closest to any of the Bigfoot recordings of anything, because there's a whole fundamental that's missing with Bigfoot recording, like in the Moorhead tapes. There's a whole fundamental, it's just missing. So when you add the math up, it never adds up with a true Bigfoot vocalization. And with the throat singing, it was the same thing. So it was the closest. And I often wondered, is this something that they started to perfect to, one, mimic Bigfoot calls that they had heard? So why did they start doing this? You know what I mean? Why would a culture, and of course in the Arctic areas, like where Fred is, start practicing throat singing? It's kind of interesting. It's all across, over in the Arctic of, in Asia, Russia, that whole northern range, all around the world does throat singing. Why?
I actually, now that you bring that up, I actually have a question for you, because I actually experienced this just this last March. April was like right in between the months, where I captured what sounded to me, and I can only describe it like a throat singing. The second I heard it through the parabolic is what it sounded like.
Okay.
But I had the parabolic pointed at a tree line that had nothing but woods for miles, and we heard steps and this other strange. I've told Mark it was like a bark, like it was barking back and forth at a dog, and I had never heard that it sounded like throat singing, and I actually need to have maybe you analyze it, because maybe if you could tell me what human range as far as hertz go.
If you have any recordings, God, we'd love to look at them and get them turned into spectrograms and start comparing them. And
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
because,
we'd love to look at.
I've been looking at this, and I still don't understand it. I unless somebody was out there playing a recording, there's no other explanation for what that sound is.
Yeah, me and Jeff Meldrum
just don't really do it justice. When you hear it live, it's totally different than the recording. You get the full benefit of those amplitudes.
Right. Yeah, you pointed out a real problem, DA, because you listen to it on YouTube, you're not getting the harmonic effects that vibrate through your body in person, unless you're stacked with subwoofers and all that stuff in your house. But it's really interesting, because basically throat singing is they're using everything. They're using the vocal folds, the vocal cords in their entire windpipe. And, I'm planning in Legend Meets Science 2, we're going to put a little microscopic endoscopic camera up through the nasal cavity, snake it through, and then down into the windpipe, so we can record what's really going on, both with a gentleman I know who can do infrasound. You can get down to 0.03 hertz, and with throat singers. So we can actually see what's happening. How are they creating it?
I can't wait to see that. I'm going to see the results of that.
Yeah, should be interesting.
Somebody posted in the chat the human hertz range is only from like 7 to 15 hertz.
Yep.
So if I have something that's close to 2,000 hertz, as far as that,
powerful.
That's something.
That's ultrasound.
Okay. So that would be out of the range of, like, let's just say, like what a coyote could create.
Not necessarily. It's hard to, I wouldn't know how high dogs can get and coyotes, but that certainly is getting up there. That's for sure.
Okay. Because most of them are sitting around like between 1,500 and 2,000 hertz.
Yeah,
all these recordings that I have.
It's interesting. We'd love to see them.
Yeah, for sure.
Give you some answers.
Yeah, that would really help.
I think human range is 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz.
Yeah.
I think that's, I had to look it up. Sorry.
Okay.
No problem. Fanatic. So,
yeah, I never ever pay attention to the upper stuff. I always just worried about all the lower stuff. But 2,000, yeah, that's not that high then.
Yeah, well, hertz
I could also be reading my
just
spectrogram wrong.
Yeah.
I'm not a professional.
Yeah.
in any means when it comes to studying audio. I admit that I'm completely new to listening to audio and really trying to figure out what I'm looking at in the spectrogram, which is why I plan on having it sent to multiple people to see if I can have it vetted multiple times by different researchers that this is in fact, a relic hominid before I just make the claim. But it is interesting because the throat singing one I definitely can't explain. Also got some strange jibber jabber at one point, and what sounded like it was a howl that it was almost like talking to the coyotes, and it started making this very weird whistle, and then afterward it started talking to them. That was an interesting piece of footage. Wow. Yeah.
One of the things I wanted to comment on was Doug. You mentioned Ron Moorhead earlier.
Yeah.
When they analyzed his recordings, weren't there? If I remember correctly, they had vocal capabilities both above and below what humans were capable of reproducing.
But basically, they can change their range so quick. It's just be very hard for you or I. And they've even hired Monongahela and David, they've hired voice actors to try to duplicate them. And I've got a guy that I'm working with that he's got the highest voice documented in the world and the lowest. We're going to have him also try to duplicate these sounds. And it was really funny because I asked him, I said, geez, why are you going to let me, we're going to do all these invasive things to you and you're willing to do it? And I said, why are you willing to help us? You're so excited about helping us. He said, because I had a Bigfoot sighting. And I said, you're kidding me, dude. No way. He said they were on a railroad trestle and just sitting there. And there was a Bigfoot down below them catching fish. And they got to watch it unobserved. Pretty cool.
Well, I'm going to get off of here, guys.
Well, Matt, thank you for coming on.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on. It was nice to finally get to meet Doug and Fred, and good to see Mark and Carrie. And thank you so much, and congratulations on your 100th episode, man. Keep it going. You guys got an awesome program going, and I know that I'm a big fan. Absolutely. Awesome. Have a good night.
You too, man.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Super nice young man.
Yeah, he's got a great program.
Yeah.
It's still a young channel, but he's got some great content.
I'll have to check it out.
It's called the Supernatural Spectrum.
Oh, very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, Matt's legit.
It's cool to meet some of these younger researchers that are just really impressive.
Yeah.
It's encouraging.
Yeah, it
definitely. It's the next generation of researchers coming up.
Yep, Lord knows.
Yeah.
Changing of the guard's coming soon.
That's right.
Some of us aren't as young as we once were.
I'm so tired. We're getting started. What are you talking about?
Poor Fred. He looks like he's about to be eaten by a moose or a bear any minute.
I'd be more worried about a moose than a bear right now. But Mama Moose isn't here with her calf, so I'm all right.
Do you get Sasquatch in your area where you live?
I actually just up the road from here. I shared an encounter. There was some mushroom pickers that had an incident about a year ago, and that's about, I don't know, maybe 10 miles as the crow flies. So yeah, I'm I'm in Alaska. There's encounters all over the place up here. So far I've got like 40 something encounter videos up, and I'm backlogged. I've been sorting through to get more of the First Nations ones up, but it's I haven't come across any that were friendly in nature. And I'm not trying to be biased. I'm trying to find those better encounters that'll make me feel a little bit more warm and fuzzy when I go out in the woods. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think we've been looking for those for 7 years, and it hasn't happened yet. The warm fuzzy.
Yeah.
It's always dark.
I've never had some. One of my theories is if something's friendly, why do I fear for my life? And I haven't seen it. It's just present somewhere. You know, something like that. It just doesn't jive with being a friend. You know.
Yeah, I equate it to running into a tiger, possibly, or a lion, or something where you shouldn't, and having them stare you down and stalk you. Yeah.
Yeah. It's the instant feeling of your superiority as man leaving your feet.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. Or your attempt at superiority with the bullet leaving the barrel, but that's not a good situation either.
No, that's not.
Well, I've experienced some aggression up there, up in northern Ontario. It's scary.
Now, either one of you guys, since you're both familiar with this particular area, how in relation to the areas that you're talking about you've been, in relation to where they find the giant trees that are ripped out of the ground and stuck upside down in the ground, is this in that area?
Yeah, it's in Fred's
I know. Right. There's some just north of me here. Actually, I'm going to get some of those upside down trees on video. But southeast has a lot of those really big old growth trees. Up where I'm at, it's usually black spruce that have been ripped out of the ground and turned over. So they're a little smaller in scale. But yeah, there's definitely quite a bit of that goes on. And most people don't even realize what they're looking at. They're just like, oh, that tree must have got blown over in the wind and stuck into the ground. And not likely,
Yeah.
So,
tremendous amount of strength
there's
to be able
definitely
to wedge that back in the ground like that.
Mark.
Hey,
and most of them are stuck in there.
Oh, I was
Carrie,
just going to tell Mark.
I've got a few of you guys' pictures
do?
Loaded if you guys want to discuss them when I bring them up.
Hey, rock and roll.
All right, here's the first one.
Oh, that's Banner.
Yeah, that's Banner. Dead center.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I first looked at this picture, I was looking, I'm like, okay, what am I looking at? And it didn't really just jump out at me at first. I looked at it and I'm like, what am I looking at? And then I'm like, oh, that's a freaking nose.
Yeah, he's pretty well hidden. Standing with a little bit of context. He's standing 10 feet, we believe, maybe a little bit more. You can see the brow very, very well. The shadow under the eye where it should be, if there's a brow sticking out there, the sun shining off the apex of the curves on the face where it should be, and it's behaving like something that's sitting there hiding. And I sent that to Anthony. I just outlined, you can see this guy's outline too, if that's the bushes and that's pareidolia, man, that's the best pareidolia I've ever seen in my life.
I would agree. I mean, even from this first one, once you realize it's there, that's a face.
Right. Well, I'm going to tell you what I see. And that's what I explained the other day. It looks like he's squinting and raising his left eyebrow. That's why his hairline's up a little bit there. His left eyebrow's up. And what do we do when we raise our eyebrow? We push the other one down and it kind of comes in a little bit. So it's a little bit off center. I've actually got another one that's not as clear, but he's not doing that in this right in the middle. We've got Mark's got a whole breakdown of it. So it's actually filmed. I was just going to say, Mark, I'll send you Fred's story that he told.
Oh, awesome.
It's one of the best.
Okay. How far away were you guys when you took that picture?
That's 80, 90 yards.
Something like that. Yep.
Yeah. We reached way out there with that one.
Yeah. And the individual is there because he wants an apple.
Pretty much. I think so too.
Yeah.
Well, looking at that, that's some pretty dense underbrush too.
Yeah, those palmettos at the bottom are about 5 feet tall. I think the ones on the right are pretty close to 7 feet. We think he's about 10 or 12 feet back behind those two trees, not right up on them. So we're thinking he's 10 feet.
Kind of in between those two trees.
Yeah,
Yes.
he's in between those two trees, probably 10 to 12 feet from the palmettos, you know.
Yeah.
But he's big, and I've actually seen the individual there before, and then we have him on film. We think the same one. I mean, it compares pretty good.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. You guys are just amazing stuff, and I
Appreciate that.
I can't stress that enough. I'm
Kerry nailed him. He nailed him. You know,
I'm a huge fan of what you guys are doing, and I would give my eye teeth to have that kind of equipment to be able to pull that off here in Missouri, because I know some places you can't get close. I mean, they're very cagey around here, and best times. And I don't know, down in Florida, they're probably not as nomadic as they are up here because we have much colder winters. The most active times seem to be spring and fall around here.
We got pretty lucky in several different aspects. We got really lucky with some private funding. Mark and I were not going to drop that kind of money on a lens, and still be married.
That's right.
Yeah, that'd be a divorce if I tried.
For sure. So it's just a matter of things continuing and people noticing and us working it. You know, not just in the woods, but on the back end, the politicking kind of involved in getting something better. What is it going to take? Mark and I have had so many conversations that have evolved, obviously, so many times, between theories and what we should do and shouldn't do. And I think, we've kind of, since there's not much we can know about these creatures because we just can't study them, we kind of fall into, the good stuff like that. I think we kind of fell into, like I said, it was our first time out with the camera. We had just turned it on. Mark didn't even take it out of the box until I got there. We put it together and kind of went through the instructions and went through and set the ISO where we thought it was going to be okay, and took it out there and just, like I said, first cast, got a fish. So,
Doug, what do you think?
Just an image. It's a breakdown. It's
interesting, but you can realize I'm looking at a blurry, somewhat blurry transmission.
Well, those are part of the images that Kerry sent to us.
And I'd have to see the video. I will never comment on any footage until I get the original footage, and then I can play with it in my own time, take a whole day, play with it, and then offer my opinion in private to the person.
Yeah.
And then they can do with that what they want,
Exactly, yeah.
So I try to approach it a little more scientifically and just look at it. So but I love your theories, and if you feel they're working, keep testing them, because it doesn't happen overnight.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, you said you'd sent a bunch of that footage
is building, and we have files on these individuals, and we built them.
That's interesting.
I think as we move along, the publicity is really where I think is going to start coming in, because we've really documented this phenomenon till we're blue in the face for almost 4 years. So it's one of those things where, upon reviewing an image, of course, opinions are going to be that way. But under the whole catalog of scrutiny,
right,
it's be very obvious what's going on. And I think that as we move forward, just how it is when you go in the field, you rely on your technology to bring out what you went for. And so we're learning this new tech now, right? Like the old stuff, I have it down to where, we've taken it as far as it can go, is what I'll say. This new stuff, I think we can take it a lot further. And I'm looking forward to seeing what that is. This initial shot of this creature, the value that it has for me is in showing me what this can do, Because these future expeditions and the fact that we have documentation of this same individual over and over and over for 3 years, I think us going back to that place and really having that equipment dialed in is going to show. And it's been one of those things where, like I said, we can make assumptions at this point because we've been interacting with this group since 2000 and late 2017, and so I think we're going to see spectacular things. That's my prediction, Kerry. It really is, and especially with Banner, because he seems to be around a lot.
Yeah. And look, I want to say this. I want to say this. What we're sharing, I sent Doug the same thing I sent you, DA. The clips you're going to get to see in the film. And once the film comes out, be happy to send it to Doug after that. But we're just showing the clearest stills right now. The video will be in the film. And once that's out, obviously.
Kerry, thank you for sending those to me.
Whatever you want. Yeah, for sure.
Guys, I got to sign off. I really appreciate you having me. Congratulations, DA, on this, man. This is huge, right? 100 shows. Doug, do you understand how to get in touch with Kerry?
Sure. Yeah. I can get in touch. Yeah, we're connected on Facebook.
That's awesome. I really look forward to hearing what you have to say about the experiments we're conducting.
Yeah, we should talk.
I really do. Okay. And then I really wanted to say thank you for coming in live from Alaska, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm just chilling, man. Yeah. Nope, not a problem. DA's always been a big supporter, so anytime he reaches out, I'll be there.
Yeah, man. It was nice meeting you, and I look forward to seeing your work. I'm going to check it out. Thanks for having me, DA. I appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on, Mark.
Yep. Appreciate it, guys.
Have a good one.
Meeting you, Mark. Bye.
Good, bud.
Nice meeting.
Have you guys worked with Stacy down there? Stacy Brown?
I haven't. My time, there's so much going on with me personally. Time is such a commodity. I reached out to Mark, and Mark and I are we're having to really schedule things far out because, I've got a regular job and I had tried to quit, and Linda told me I couldn't yet. So yeah, well, it's just kind of dealing with some health issues, and it's if Mama says no, then no. So what I did was I shortened my work schedule, lengthened my home schedule, and we got a lot of things planned as far as trips. And what we do, what I do, my wife and I started doing with Bigfoot Odyssey was just telling people story. We'd go to their house. We did 13 documentaries in 9 different states in a 3-year period of time. We'd get together and go to someone's place, get them on camera, the places where these things happened, telling their story, showing their best evidence, and then that was it. So what I did was got with Mark. We're going to continue to do that, and what Mark is bringing to it is the investigation. So what we'll do is we'll still go to these people's places, tell their story, their odyssey, if you will, and then on the back end, do an investigation and put that out with it. So we're kind of marrying 2 different things that we do within the subject together that need to be done. Because I couldn't do what he did. He could do what I do. He just doesn't have the patience for it. So we put them together, and it's been no time to talk to anybody else. I'd go out with Stacy. Sure. I think he's great.
Yeah, I think he's got some areas. I think he's on the West Coast.
That whole state is, I don't think there's a patch of woods you can go in down there and not find something.
Yeah, it's interesting.
The places that Mark has taken me are just Mesozoic feeling, really.
Yeah, you're waiting for a dinosaur to walk out of the forest down there. It's pretty nuts.
And
I got that feeling in Oregon.
Yeah.
After I got out of the Army, me and some friends took a motorcycle trip up the Pacific Highway, and we got off the beaten path in Oregon, and I was just waiting to get attacked by monsters. I mean, I'm like, holy crap! Talk about the forest primeval.
Yeah.
Well, there, a 12-foot alligator will make short work of you if he ever gets a hold of you.
A 6-footer will do a lot of damage.
Yeah, well, you better be prepared for those things because that's, like I said, there's a documented monster out there, and hogs too. That's another bad one. Fred, I think probably has more of a more danger with bear and moose, and we do, but
for sure
because they can run you down.
Coastal brown bears get over 1,000 pounds, 10 foot plus. They get massive.
It's a big animal.
Really big.
But there's an actual statistic. There's an actual death statistic for moose.
Yes.
It's like
yeah,
20
they will
people a year.
stomp you to death. Yeah, they don't care. They are ruthlessly efficient at it too. It's like a laser guided hook right to the face. Not good.
Moose and buffalo.
Definitely. Yeah, I don't have any buffalo around here. I know up by Delta Junction they got some kind of buffalo, something going on up that way. But you know that's farmed animals, so
Yeah.
it's they release some woodland bison
Wood
or something
bison.
like that into the wood. Yeah, wood bison at some point, but that's way up north.
And they wood bison used to be plentiful in Missouri, but they got hunted out.
Yeah, they're a little taller and skinnier than regular plains bison. Seems like the plains bison are a little sturdier animal. You would think it'd be the other way around.
It always cracks me up. You see those videos from Yellowstone of these morons that get out of their car and try to pet them. Like, that's a bad idea. That's a very bad idea.
Yeah, there's places where tourists come, like down Kodiak by the Buskin River. The police have to literally stand there at the bridge and tell people to get back in their car at some points because, those Kodiak brown bears, they do not care. Bear will eat you even while you're alive. Just an ugly scene altogether.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. My dad
Bear
raised
attacks
us
are
only.
no joke.
No, my dad always told us a good bear is a dead bear. Because if they're willing to cause any trouble whatsoever with all the resources around, there's something wrong with them, and it's best not to have them poking around your place.
There he is, Jesus. How you doing, man?
Oh, me? I'm all right. Oh, there you go. Good to hear your voice.
How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I just did a hunt the other day, or researching, or however you want to call it. Found some new structures, so that was cool.
Thank you for coming on, man. Thanks for being part of the 100th episode.
Congratulations, peoples.
Thank you, brother.
100 more to come.
Keep my fingers crossed.
Yeah, no doubt.
Right?
I know I'm not planning on stopping anytime soon, so as long as people are listening, I'll keep talking.
Right?
That's the real challenge, though, isn't it?
That is the challenge.
As a mountainous a task it is going after, a creature that's not supposed to exist. Not giving up is the hardest part.
Yep.
I'll never give up, even if I'm talking to myself, but but I may not have anybody listening. Even my wife rolls her eyes at me from time to time. She's like, will you give it a break?
Yeah, mine too.
Excuse me, guys. I'm just going to try to set up this so it'll stay still, so I'm not just holding it in my hand.
No problem.
Give me 1 second. Oh.
I got a funny story to tell about Jesus. We were interviewing him for our podcast. He got in his car and drove off. Okay.
True story.
Yeah, true story.
That's hilarious.
He had to pick his wife up, and I thought, oh, that's a good reason, though. That's a good reason.
Did he just walk off, or did he excuse himself?
No,
'Cause that would make a little
he
bit
stayed.
difference in how funny it was.
He stayed on, Fred. He just held the camera.
Okay.
He got in his car
All right.
and then drove while he was on our podcast.
Oh.
That's awesome.
I was picturing him leaving a one-on-one interview and just walking off to his car and leaving mid-interview. That would have been great.
Oh well, he
I
did
mean,
eventually
just-
cut out. He did cut out, but it was entertaining.
Right.
Well,
Just
kind of a
fair.
surprise
No.
for everybody. Jesus is going to be the guest on our show next Saturday.
Yeah.
I think that's as good as it's going to get for now.
Here's what it is, brother. We'll make it work. So, Doug, I didn't know you two already knew each other.
Oh yeah.
Yep,
Yeah,
we go way back.
Yeah, we go back a while.
It's a small community sometimes.
Yeah.
It's amazing the people you run into. Like, oh, yeah, I know that guy.
Right?
Well, I mean, you think about how opposite his research area is compared to, where Kerry was down in Florida. I mean, it's just the absolute opposite. But I like his research area because all you got to do is go to the rivers. There's water.
Yep. That's their highway.
Yeah.
They follow over here. They look like miniature Grand Canyons, and they just go up and down all the way to the missile range and back to the mountains.
Yeah, so it weeds out a lot of area, so he knows right where to go.
Well, what a lot of people fail to realize about New Mexico is just how rugged the terrain can be.
Oh my God!
You get down into the Sangre de Cristo Mountains or over near Cimarron Canyon, and it's dense pine and nothing but up on either side of the road.
Yep.
Beautiful country. I lived down there for several years when I was younger.
Yeah, the fires have been pretty bad down here. We've burned 330,000 acres so far. That's from Santa Fe, and then you get down to the Sacramento Mountains where I'm at. I'm about an hour away from El Paso, and we got fires here too. But where I'm researching in the canyon area that I'm at is literally the only safe place they've got right now that's not in danger of going up in smoke.
So are these fires that are renewing the land, or are they burning up the trees so they're dead?
They're lightning strikes. So it's just burning the hell out of everything that can't contain it.
So it kills. Does it kill? Like, we get a lot of forest fires here, but usually they stay to the ground. The trees are fine. It kills. Eats up all the brush, but the main big trees doesn't hurt them.
But, towards Santa Fe, they 300 homes have burned already.
Oh,
and then here where I'm at, 200 homes have burned and 2 people died, and tons of animals have died in this fire. So it's pretty bad.
And
it happens every year, but it's getting worse and worse every year.
Your mother's involved in the fire department, isn't she?
She helps run the forest department, the Lincoln National Forestry Department, and so she handles the hot shots. So those are the fire guys.
Yeah.
So it's a lot going on right now. My sister works at White Sands Missile Range.
Oh wow.
For the forest department, though, not for the military.
Sure.
Harry, you had a question from the audience.
Okay.
Mrs. Chef Yoda says, I saw the tail end of your live the other night. Where exactly are you where you saw the big Hulk-looking Bigfoot?
Where were we?
I think that's what she means.
We were in South Florida, on the southeast side of Florida, in one of Mark's research areas. There's 3 main areas that he researches. Him, Jimmy Barr, Mike Velez, Matt, who was just here with us. But it's in those areas. We got all the stuff we got was in those 3 areas, and that's what I told him. I said, I'm driving all the way down here to do this investigation. Let's go where you think there's going to be hot. And very first time we stepped out of the truck with the 16-pound rig and a tripod, and I'm stumbling around and get it down and just accidentally call it a pretty clear image. It's a testament to the lens, really.
Doug, I had a question for you. It's something I thought of after the last time you were on. I'd intended to ask you then, and it completely slipped my mind. It was about when you were up at Snell Grove. The board that they'd put out that had the screws in it that had been stepped on. What was the actual results that came back from the DNA on that?
Okay. So, first off, I always like to clarify, we didn't put that board out. A lot of people think that we built that and put that out. No, that was the cabin had been trashed. Right? Yeah, the whole cabin was trashed. They thought it was a bear, but they were even kind of wondering because they're really, can a bear flip over a 1,200-pound gas tank? Does a bear rip playing cards into little dime-sized pieces? Hundreds of decks of playing cards. It did a lot of weird things. But I was up there with my daughter. Joe was up there with his daughter, and Vladimir up there with his daughter. And I saw that board. Joe brought it to my attention, and it was lean with the screws facing out in the back of the cabin. And I just thought it was dangerous. So I brought it up to the outfitter, right? And he told me that they had the cabin trashed, and they put that board out as a deterrent, but something still got into the cabin. And they found blood everywhere. So that's what happened. So when we went up there, I mean, the board was already exposed to weather for quite a long time. So first, Todd Disotell could not get anything off it. But we had multiple samples. You know, I mean, who knows what test tube he got. And then Kurt redid everything. And he had to use, we have to amplify the DNA. And he ended up getting DNA, a pretty good sequence. But there were a number of genomes that matched chimpanzee. That's where it got really interesting, which is interesting because Expedition Bigfoot also just took DNA in from Kentucky that also had a number of genes that were from the same as chimpanzee. And so that's where the result, it's kind of incomplete, but it's not incomplete because what the hell is chimpanzee DNA doing up in Ontario?
Yeah, Snell Grove Lake in northern Ontario. It's funny you should mention Expedition Bigfoot. Are you part of that?
No, I'm not. I know Russ. Been to a couple of things with Russ, but no, I have no part of it. But this was, independent DNA that they got collected, I think in Kentucky or Tennessee, somewhere in that area. But it came back also as having some of the genes from chimps in it.
So that right in and of itself should just, be a glaring piece of evidence.
Yeah, it's an eye opener.
There's no way there's a chimp running around northern Ontario.
No.
They're just not indigenous. Even if somebody released it, the chances of it getting up there, because you got there by float plane.
Yes, of course. Yeah,
Did he have an opinion? Did he have an opinion, Doug? Just to tell?
He just couldn't get anything, period. There's no opinion because he couldn't get anything.
Oh, okay. I guess I must have missed that part.
Yeah. And Kurt nudged it out, and he ended up getting a pretty decent sequence. But it was interesting that in that sequence, Carrie, there were, a number, I think four genes that were the same. They were the same genes that were divergent in chimps, just in chimps from human DNA.
Alyssa Khan asked, were there any gene sequences that matched human?
Yeah, of course. Yes, some of them matched human, which I just keep getting over and over and over, and that's the problem. But we now have a number of DNA labs lined up where we're hoping they're not just going to say, oh, this is human-like. There's what happens, a bunch of data drops to the bottom, doesn't match anything, but a lot of it matches human, so they go, well, it's human-like. They don't research it any further. But we have a number of universities, a number of labs that are now willing to take it to the next level because DNA technology is so much better. Plus the databases are just exponentially growing, Yeah,
that Snow Grove Lake episode of MonsterQuest is always one of my favorites because when they were recovering DNA from that board, I saw that they got quite a bit.
Well, we did. We got tons of it.
And when at the end of the episode, they said it was inconclusive, I wanted to know if there'd been more follow-up on that.
Yeah, we had actually got numbers of chunks of fat tissue, muscle tissue. I mean, it wasn't just a little bit, but it was old. It was really old. And you know what? I trusted these. I get all of it left with Meldrum and Kurt.
Well, if they can get DNA sequences off mummies from ancient Egypt, surely they can get that.
I wished I would have kept some because I'm working with labs now that can get a full sequence off 3 cells.
Yeah.
3 skin cells. And they can be old. They're really good with the, a DNA that's been degraded. So.
Flat Rock asks, Doug, he says, what's your opinion on Melba Ketchum's DNA results from a few years back?
Well, I can't really say a whole lot, only because, I wasn't there. I didn't vet anything. I think it was good intentions. I just don't think it was presented correctly. Does that make sense? But I think that we can go, put it this way. I'll make judgment on her DNA results when we do our big study.
Yeah.
Then I'll make my judgment. But until then, I'm just going to bite my tongue.
Creepers Cryptid and Paranormal Corner. He's a viewer from Australia. He's got a great channel. He says, do you think the frequency can affect the cameras? Do you have a way to not let them affect them, like covers or stuff like that for your cameras?
Oh my God. I've experienced stuff on numerous occasions where my cameras I've got one cell phone that completely fried. I've
had batteries go dead a number of times.
I have too. And my son, about 2-3 years ago, had a night vision camera explode in his face when he was tuning in on a Bigfoot, and he literally had it literally exploded.
Wow.
And I don't know what to think of that. I really don't know. My son did a real interesting thing. He brought an EMF meter up on a very isolated area. They did controlled studies all the way to the location. Couldn't hardly get a reading on it. Even driving through towns and cities didn't do much. So they go up, it's zero. The EMF meter is zero. They're they literally had to even take a canoe to this. It's like an island area.
Mm-hmm.
They did a wood knock. They got a wood knock after it, and after the wood knock, the thing pegged and stayed pegged until morning.
Wow.
And I said, well, Blaine, that doesn't mean anything because you didn't have another EMF meter with you, right? You had no other way to, the meter could have malfunctioned.
Right.
And so he would have needed at least to have another meter there, would have been helpful. Then they got to redo it again, It's just kind of worthless data, but it's interesting.
You always got to have redundant checks.
Yeah.
You can't just trust one source. Ricky Saunders had a question for you. He said, will you ever pursue Dogman with the same intensity for the truth as you've done so far with Bigfoot? I don't see Dogman publicly acknowledged nearly as much as Bigfoot. Why is that?
Well, in MonsterQuest, we did the first lie detector test on, I don't know how many witnesses, five witnesses. And man, I hired a lie detector guy that, let's put it this way, he didn't have any funny bones. He was a real serious dude, and
I saw that episode. He was pretty unimpressed with everything.
It was pretty intense what he put those people through. And he said, you know what? Yeah, the majority of them, they're all telling the truth. So I just, I did there's no physical evidence for these dogmen, or very little,
Yeah.
Once again, photos I don't consider physical evidence. Just it's evidence, but it's not physical. That's kind of the problem. What are you going to do?
Mostly what we have is eyewitness testimony.
Yeah. I've got an area that we've got cameras on that supposedly have dogmen on right now.
I saw one myself in LBL.
And I don't, I've just, I wait. Maybe we'll get footage, but a lot of people, neighbors of this area, say they're on the property. So we'll see.
Randy Spurl has a question for Fred. I think I clicked the wrong one. Yep, I did. It bumped on me. He said, hey, Fred, I've never heard your opinion on what you feel Sasquatch is.
Well, what I think it is me personally, I'm a Christian, and where it states in the Bible in Genesis 6, I don't feel they're the Nephilim. I feel they're part of the corrupted. That's the only thing that, sorry, I got some high wind kicking in here, but that's just my own personal opinion. I feel they're part of the corrupted blood. I don't feel that they have anything supernatural about them. Everything I've ever seen is flesh and blood. Like that's everything I've ever seen. I've never seen them portals or anything else like that. But it's a working theory, none of us have enough evidence to really, nail anything down, so to speak.
DA, I sent you another picture.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
I sent it to your messenger.
That's perfect. Let me get those downloaded, and then I'll upload them and share them.
It's the same thing, but Carl Gotro he took the green out. And when you take the green out, then things kind of pop out a little bit more.
Let me get those uploaded real quick.
He just sent it to me, and I thought it was good. So if you want to show it, you can. That's cool.
Sure. Here's the first one. It's pretty grainy, but clearly see it.
Yeah, it's very grainy.
And there's the black and white.
Nice.
Yeah, you see the eye a little bit better in that. I don't know. It doesn't look as good here as it does. It's just so compressed, I guess. It doesn't look quite as good. I don't know. I tried.
Yeah, thank you for sharing those. I'm glad I get those on there. Jesus, I had a question for you.
Yes, sir.
The footage that you took along the riverbank on the Navajo reservation, where you can see the creature running, now on camera, and I know I've taken many videos of things. When you're looking at it with the naked eye, it's clearly bigger than you're seeing it on the camera. Could you give us a little more like eyewitness detail that the camera might not have picked up?
Yeah, well, the girl that there was a couple with me. She saw it first, so I'm just driving. So I was like trying to pay attention to the road. So it wasn't until like I actually pull over that I get to see the last second half of its travel. They got to see it from farther to the left, and no, from my point of view, it looked like a large hairy ape walking on 2 feet. And the way it walked, you could see it, the cone head, and I mean the whole thing. And that's why I thought it was so important that I let strangers take my car, go home, drop off their groceries, and come. Hope they came back. And I took off on foot. That's how compelling my what I saw. To where I was like, screw the car. This is it. Gotta go.
Yeah.
So
you're by no means a small guy. How big do you think it was compared to you?
To me, because from what I could see, I would say I came up maybe to from what I could see, I would say to its like shoulder at most.
So
at most to its shoulder.
Probably in the 7.5 foot range.
That's what I would say. It's in that world.
That's kind of what I was guesstimating by watching the video, and it's a great video.
Thank you. But yeah, it was it's just the way it moved. And then, like I said, if you watch the, my later, investigation that same, day, you actually get to see a face, in the bushes where I heard movement and little rocks were being thrown and stuff. But while I was there, I couldn't, for the life of me, see where the heck it was. And it wasn't until, like I said, the commenters, that they scrutinized the footage and they pointed it out where for me to look. And sure enough, for a few frames, you can see what I consider somewhat clearly, facial features of what looks ape-like, but still with a hooded nose, though.
Yeah. To me, that's one of the better just clearly the images of watching one in motion. Now, granted, it's from a distance. You weren't up close like the Patterson-Gimlin film or anything like that. But to me, it's just one of the better videos I've seen in a while. That, the fact that you guys were just driving by, the odds of somebody being out there to prank you, they would have to know you were coming. And to me, those are the best videos. They seem the most credible to me because there's the odds of it being a hoax are pretty low.
Well, another thing I like to point out to people is that if you were a quarter mile away from the highway and you were just going for a nice walk, right?
Mm-hmm.
In all black clothing during the summer in New Mexico, usually doesn't happen. But if you were, would you run and hide if a car pulled over on the highway?
They probably wouldn't pay any attention to the car.
Yeah, exactly. It would make no sense. It would be like, oh no, somebody sees me walking by irrigation ditch on the res. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To me, that I use that logic on a lot of the stuff I find or see when it could be, that could have been a person, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, you're right. It could have been a person, but thinking as a logical person, why would a person do these things? You know what I mean? So I weigh that to me, that weighs a lot. Besides a hoaxer, of course, we know their reasoning, but
well, and also considering the size, what are the odds Shaquille O'Neal's out there?
On the res, because I'm considered a big dude on the res. You know what I mean? So I pretty much everybody on the res. I lived there for over for years, and you know each other. And if there was a 7 foot plus, dude hanging out on the res, we'd know it. We'd probably hang out and party or something. But yeah, so it was really, really, it stood out. And the fact that on that reservation, there's so many sightings, and it's just common knowledge there. And when you refer to them as the hairy boys, and it's not like, oh my God, I saw a Bigfoot. It's just like, them hairy boys, they're messing with the ding, Cornigan on the top of the mesa, or I saw another one come in, and messing with my dogs, and there was more complaints. And when I went looking for it that day, one of the people we ran into on the way to the irrigation ditch said that the night before, their horse, they found it in the morning with its hind leg ripped off, not cut off, not what I mean, ripped off the hind leg. The power involved in being able to do that is just ridiculous. It's like, try doing that just on a whole chicken, just no cutting it, just rip off a chicken leg. It's not as easy as you might think, but to do it to a horse, holy crap,
Yeah, I was going to ask you, Jesus, could you recount that story? Remember the irrigation pipes? All the irrigation pipes there were holes holes punched in, grabbing skunks. That's just like one of the most coolest stories.
Yeah, well, like J.C. Johnson, he went out with Brenda Harris, and they filmed it, documented it, and in one of the fields, irrigation pipes, PVC, good. I don't know. They're really large, and they're not thin.
There's no way you're going to punch a hole in a PVC.
Oh hell no! You're breaking your hand. You know what I mean? And I'm professional fighter, and I know that I would not try that. Because it just was being damaged for you, and it did for the Bigfoot that went chasing the skunks. The skunks ran in the irrigation pipe to get away from the Bigfoot, and they hit on this side, went down the pipe, hit it on the other side of the pipe. They're trapping the skunk until they were able to get right on top of it, bust through, and pull it out, yank it out, and they cut themselves and got blood all over the pipe.
Were you able to collect samples?
I wasn't there. That was like I said, J.C. Johnson and Brenda Harris. They handled that investigation.
I watched one of the videos that Brenda Harris had. She was talked about some people that had gone missing from their homes on the res that they believed Bigfoot were involved.
Yeah, well, like where I saw that one by the irrigation, if you notice, there's houses back there. Behind there, you can see in a road, but that's a maintenance road for the dam, and the people back there were having so many problems, like you said, with the Bigfoots killing all their livestock and harassing them, and like you said, some people turn up missing, and all those houses were empty now. They've been abandoned. So there was a whole bunch of comments saying, "Oh man, that's stupid. Bigfoot wouldn't be out by some houses." And it's like, man, you don't know that half of it where Bigfoot goes. You'd be amazed where they go, and it's not just the forest,
Yeah. I want to say a big thanks to Bigfoot Odyssey for the super chat. You guys are awesome. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, congratulations, man. $100.
Right?
I tried to make it 100, but for some reason I couldn't get past that. But I'm going to jump off. Congratulations again on 100 episodes. Doug, as soon as I get home, I'll send you the clip. If you just promise don't put it out until we get the show out. I know you won't. That's why I'll send it to you. But Jesus, it's good to meet you. Love to get you on our show also. Anthony.
It would be awesome, brother. Let's talk.
Absolutely. Always
Gary,
good
thank
to
you
see
again
you.
so much, brother.
Absolutely.
Yeah, anybody that's there, feel free to get my number from whoever has it.
Well, I'll be calling.
All right, cool.
Be looking for it. Thanks again, y'all. Have a good
All
one.
right, guys.
Carrie, you have a great night, brother. Thank you for coming on.
How do I get out of here? Never mind. I got it.
I was going to say something and lost my train of thought. Doug, I had a question for you about that giant squid. How long did it take you to come up with the rig that you used to catch it on camera? Was that something you designed, or did you design that yourself?
Yeah, months. I had already used like Aquaview cameras and I used a well camera. because you got to remember, there's no wireless technology for this kind of stuff. I would do everything differently if I could maybe do it again, but used a well camera with 1,000 foot of cable on it. And the idea was to build a rig that we could catch a pseudomorph, so we could catch a squid big enough to carry the camera. So that was one step. And then once we got the big squid, I machined up basically, it sounds pretty crude, but it was a pin with a cotter key to poke it through their dorsal fin and just put a cotter key on the other end in a washer. Very mechanical. And that's how we attached it. And the idea was so it could swivel. So no matter what direction the squid went, it had a weight on it. So the camera would always aim forward. Nice. Super crude, cheap, mechanical, but it worked.
Got the job done.
Got the job done, yeah. Could you imagine I just want you guys to picture putting a washer and a cotter key on a squid.
That's
while it's moving.
Right?
Well, no, they can't.
Alive.
No, first we got it up.
Yeah.
And then they had to they had just literally seconds to try to get this camera on and, poke a hole through the fin, get the camera on and put a cotter key or washer and then a cotter key on it. So, and then that guy got sent down, so he was basically he was the bait. And it worked. He swam down the vertical water column to where I figured the big ones were waiting and, where they never, so my theory was the big ones never go up and down. Mm-hmm. They just stay deep. The little ones go up and down the water column once a day to bring nutrients down to the bottom. And the big one just is a cannibal. So that's what they do. It just feeds on its own kind as they're swimming up and down the water column. So,
and that footage is still just astounds me. Yeah. The first time I watched it, and the 10th time I've watched it, each time I'm like, oh my God, look at the size of that thing.
It's pretty impressive. So I don't know. We'll maybe I'll get a chance to do it again. There's been other companies that have tried. But, we might have gotten lucky. It may not happen again for another 50 years.
Yeah.
Right.
Just like the Patterson. Well, it doesn't mean we hoaxed it. It just, we had the right everything. Just everything came together.
Lightning in a bottle. Hit the right place at the right time. Exactly.
And there's no way to ever predict that. Just like what, Carrie's doing. Carrie needs to get unobstructed footage. And that may happen. Right. But it's going to take luck, and skill. And all those things have to come together.
Mrs. Chef Yoda asked pretty much to all of us, she says, what's the tallest Bigfoot you have ever heard of being sighted?
The tallest I've heard of, once again, it was with J.C. Johnson. They had a picture that I enhanced and broke down for him. It's sitting down. That's the thing. It wasn't standing up. But since my mom works for the Forest Department, I have access to lots of cool information. And the trees that it was nearby were a specific type of juniper tree, and the tallest of those the average would be between 10 and 12 feet tall. Okay, So the picture I have, I'll send that to you before I have the next our next interview. Awesome. But it's sitting down, and it's the tallest tree next around it. It's a juniper tree that's 10 to 12 feet tall. It goes barely to its shoulders.
The biggest sightings I've ever heard were in the 15-foot range, and that was from up in Alaska. Again, it's kind of, I don't know if they were actually 15 foot tall, or it's one of those cases where like when I was a cop, I remember staring down the barrel of a 9mm and thought it was this big around. So adrenaline makes
so this one's actual picture though. And it's 10 to 12 feet down tall, or 10 to 12 feet tall, sitting down at its shoulder. So sitting down, its shoulders were 10 to 12 feet tall. So it's standing up would be between 15 and 20. If that's a real beast. The image isn't fake. I know the area. It had all the right parts to it. You could see muscular the muscular structure on it. Yeah, but like I said, it would have to have been 15 to 20 feet tall, and that's a picture of one.
That is a big animal.
Yeah, but like you said, the biggest ones I've ever heard of, in the even bigger range, is in Alaska and up in Canada.
Doug, what about you? What's the biggest sighting report you've ever had?
I've taken reports, where they're in that kind of 9 foot, 10 foot. Never anything that big. And I'm talking about people I've interviewed personally. Obviously, I've heard stories. I heard Jesus told me his story. And I don't doubt that they can get big. And certainly Bergman's law, the bigger they are, the farther north you go, the bigger and heavier animals are.
Yeah.
But I also know and feel that these big guys got to migrate. I really do think a lot of them go south.
Anything that big is going to have a tremendous protein intake. And if it stayed in one area for any length of time, it would pretty much eat everything edible in that area.
Right.
So I would say they've got to follow the herds or, look for different food sources.
I literally really have come to the conclusion, guys, that these things are very individual, that you cannot put them all in a basket. Nope. I think, it was just recently I read about white-tailed deer, how they are very, very picky individuals. Mm-hmm. Some will only just search out honeysuckle plants, and the other deer will have nothing to do with them. And so Bigfoot's very, very individual. Some are going to migrate, some aren't.
Well, like you said, Doug, I've been doing some research for the Bigfoots that I'm dealing with. They travel down the canals, like you said, all the way going south and head towards Juarez, Mexico. And in the mountain ranges right there between Juarez and El Paso, Texas, there's a bunch of old mines. And the Border Patrol agents, they've seen them out there. But it's local lore that those mines in those mountains are inhabited by a witch, a big, tall, scary, hairy monster, shape-shifting witch, which the only version they've seen it in is Bigfoot. They haven't seen any other versions of it, but the people have been going missing there, and they'll go get you if you're out there at night, and that's where a lot of the immigrants cross over. So they do, like you said, they do travel south for a long distance, heading south for the winters.
Yeah, no, I think they travel north, and they, if a certain group of Bigfoots, they like blueberries, well, they're going to follow the blueberry ripening phase all the way up north. If they're not into blueberries, I don't think they're gonna. I really don't think they stick together like, they may as a family, but I really think it's just all over the map, which makes the job that we have so hard.
Yep.
Because there's no exact pattern.
I'm gonna throw in the pizza in the oven, and I don't want to talk too much because I got the 28th coming up to talk about a whole bunch of stuff.
Oh yeah.
So you guys have a wonderful night. Congratulations on the 100th episode. That's so cool. And Doug, it was great seeing you again. And I will talk to you guys soon, and have a great night.
Yep. You too, man.
I'll
talk to you later, brother.
Bye.
Take care.
Be safe.
Anthony, I didn't get a chance to say hello.
I don't think he can. We can't hear you, Anthony. Are you muted? Uh-oh. He was having some internet issues. They've got a storms in his area. We can't hear you, dude. We can see you, but we can't hear you, brother.
He's doing sign language.
Doug, I think it's really interesting that you would point out that they have individual temperament. Sorry. That is, indicative of certainly higher intelligence, but that's been observed in bonobos and chimpanzees too. Individual members of a troop will act and respond very differently.
Right.
So I think that's not a huge stretch of the imagination to think that these creatures are individuals,
Right.
Very well aware of their surroundings, and just because you encounter one peacefully doesn't mean the next one you run into might not try to tear your arms off.
Right. Well, I really think, if you think about it, some of us like to, we're snowbirds. I've got friends that they cannot stand the winter. Then they go down south, and other friends are here. I think we're dealing with the same kind of issue.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes it very difficult because, if they all migrated south, well, we would know then. There'd be no sightings in the wintertime. But no, we get the sightings in the wintertime too up here in Minnesota,
right?
Up in Canada. And so you can't say that. But the sightings seem less. It's not as many. So you can only kind of assume and theorize that they're all just doing their own thing, whatever they like. And then it could be also based on age. Do you think an old, one that's 30 years old that maybe gets up and aches like I do every day is going to make the long, 1,000-mile trek? Maybe not.
Yeah. I can definitely see that, or an outcast from a troop.
Right.
Telling where it might go, what its range might be.
Yeah.
And much like with bears, when they start getting up in age, I think the older ones that aren't able to hunt might start looking for easy prey.
Right.
And I think that might explain some of the missing hunters that have gone missing and people in national parks. I think you're very, very much onto something when you say that individual temperaments may vary.
Yeah.
And I don't think all of them are dangerous, but I think some of them are very dangerous.
Yeah, and that could be too. I mean, we could, there could be animals out there that have killed 50 people. We don't know. And just think that there's never been a human death by a Bigfoot. I think that'd be a stretch.
Yeah, it's like saying there's never been a human death by a mountain lion.
Yeah.
That's happened a lot, and they're much smaller than a Bigfoot.
Yep.
The woods can be a dangerous place.
So so my son, he likes to, I think I've mentioned this to you before, he likes to go only where people have gone missing. And so
That's pretty gutsy.
He'll set up camp, after somebody's gone missing in a mysterious way. And I'll be damned if he doesn't come back with audio of some amazing activity of rocks and growls and wood knocks and stones being thrown and wood, rock clacking. And so you go, well, what are the chances this guy went missing here 3 weeks ago and he just experienced a whole bunch of aggressive behavior?
Yeah, exactly.
The only difference is he did not go outside his tent.
Yeah.
He stayed put. When he heard all this activity, he stayed.
Hey, we can hear you now, Anthony.
Yeah, there we go. Hello, Anthony. I just wanted to say hello.
What's going on, Doug? Sorry, if you see this laptop fly across the room, you'll know why. So don't get to or anything. So my temper like this right now. So, but I appreciate everybody coming on the show. And Doug, thank you so much for coming on. And
I'm gonna do a hard out too here. I'm gonna get I've got a dinner date tonight, so I'm gonna go try to get a late dinner.
That sounds awesome. Well, Doug, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
It's a big deal, guys.
Yeah, 100th episode's kind of a big deal, and thank you so much for coming back for the 100th episode. I enjoy your conversations with you, and I would definitely like to do it again sometime in the near future.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Doug. You have a great night.
Bye. Bye, Anthony.
Bye, Bob. Yeah, I didn't expect everyone to jump on. I mean, like that. I mean, that's crazy. Wow.
Yeah, there was a lot of people popping in to say congratulations.
Well,
really big thanks to everybody. And Anthony put most of that together.
Everybody knows my circumstance, what's going on with the laptop and everything. And a shout out to George and Rosa. I'm just waiting on it, and I should be A-okay.
What the heck just happened?
I don't know. See what I mean? It goes in and out, this thing, man. This thing just goes in and out. It's like, the government doesn't want me on, that's fine. Come to the house and knock on the door, man. Oh, but by the way, John can't get back in with comments.
I have no idea why.
I don't know.
I've looked everywhere to see if he's been blocked in any place, and he's not. I'm not finding him on any blocked list. I don't know what I did. And obviously it's probably something I did. I mean,
see, now
technology, I'm gonna break it.
See, I'm not lagging now. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's from everybody being on, and it just kills the stream for
The bandwidth.
me.
We may have
And
to
like
look
you
into
said,
to changing over to maybe StreamYard or something and trying that.
Yeah.
Restream seems to be having a lot of
Yeah.
problems lately.
I mean,
folks,
we
so
had
one thing I wanted to talk about.
114 people.
Yeah, that was awesome. I wanted to mention again the first annual Dogman Cryptid Conference in Paris, Tennessee. If you look down in the lower right corner there, you'll see my name. I'll be one of the guests there. I'll be there with a big stack of books, and I'm going to be one of the lecturers there as well. And tickets are still available, and I will post the link in the chat room if anybody's interested. The VIP tickets have already sold out, but there are still plenty of attendance tickets left, and it's going to be a good time. If you're anywhere near Paris, Tennessee, hope you guys will make the drive and come see me. Where a bunch of us are talking about going into LBL after the event. So that should be because Paris, Tennessee is just like 20, 30 miles from LBL. And I definitely want to go back in there with some of my newer equipment and get a look around. So definitely check that out. The link is right there. I just posted it in the chat. And tickets are still available, but they are selling pretty quick. So if you get a chance, I would love to see you come by and check it all out.
Yeah, I'm going to try to get to that. You know that.
Yeah.
So try to head out there.
I'd love to get you there.
Try to get the old man go too. Get him out of the chair. I know
be
John's
awesome.
John's watching right now. So but we'll bring the wig with us when we are. We're going to bring it. So he's probably going to be cursing me out when I walk out of here.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah, I know.
Something else I wanted to point out tonight, and I know a number of people that have asked about this, and Carrie Pocket Doc Davis was instrumental in making this happen. We now have them.
I was just about
are installed.
I was just about to tell you to put it out there. Just about to tell you to put it out there.
Velcro on the back. They're a PVC patch, kind of rubber like PVC.
Yeah.
These patches will last for years. They're beautiful. I love the and they're raised. So I don't know if you can see it on there, but all of that is raised. These are fantastic patches. Doc did a great job. I've got a whole case of these things, and should be having those up on the website very, very soon for anybody that are interested in the Team Odin patches. And if those go over well, not only will we get more of those, but we'll look into getting some others as well.
Yeah, you're just waiting on what the T-shirts and stuff now.
Yeah, we're going to be working on some more T-shirts.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys have had the chance to check out our merch. We've got a lot of really cool T-shirts. They're on Teespring, and if you go to my website, let me pull it up real fast. You can go to the merch shop directly from my website, and it is this. I'm going to drop a link. It is merchshop.daroberts.net, and there's North American Dogman Region 2 T-shirts. There's Team Odin T-shirts. There are several series of the books have shirts specifically, and we're going to be adding posters very soon. I've got to get some of the images upscaled so they'll print well on a large poster. So we'll have book covers available as posters. We're working on getting caps done. The issue with the caps is the has to be a much higher dots per inch resolution than just for the T-shirts because they're embroidered. So those are in the works.
I'm looking at the chat. I want to thank everybody for coming on the chat tonight. I mean, that's really good. Awesome. 113 people.
That's awesome.
Thank you so much.
Shane over at West Coast Dogman says, just got my 2 NADP Region 2 shirts in the other day and got 4 compliments at my son's open house. That's awesome. Derek Buckle says, you have big boy shirts 3X plus. Well, I'm a big boy and they fit me. So they're a 3X and I think some of them go up to 4 and 5. So there's some good size shirts. So yeah, definitely check those out.
Yeah, that was like everybody showed up. I was totally shocked. I was in contact with Jesus and all of them, and they kept me in the loop as far as me not being on. Everybody, I was still in the background doing my magic, but I was on my phone doing it. See, so I got everybody on, and I'm happy everybody made it on. Everybody connected and got along, and that's the way it should be. You're doing this kind of stuff and fighting and you know, cutting each other's throats and connecting with everyone is awesome. Like, you know,
absolutely. And it was amazing having so many people come on for the 100th anniversary. I just really enjoyed it. Werewolf asked, he says, how do we get the patch? I'm still working on that because I can't sell these through my merch store because it's Teespring. Teespring won't let me post my own merchandise on there. It has to be merchandise that they make. So we're going to set up something on my website where you can order them directly from me. I'll just drop ship them from the house. When I say I got a bunch of them, I got a bunch of them. So I've got to get with a couple of people to get it set up on the website, and hopefully within the next few days we'll get that up and available if anybody wants those patches. Mark says, where do I order? I'll have that up and available hopefully in the next couple of days. Got to get a couple things worked out and figure out the shipping behind it and how much it's going to cost. But yeah, we'll definitely get those up and out to people.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's you know, that's a given. I know we've been waiting a long time. You've been waiting for those patches to come in. I know Doc's been chomping a bit to get them.
I got to say, it was worth the wait. These are just absolutely beautiful patches. And
John has one. I got John.
The Velcro on the back.
John ordered a patch that had the Pararescue, same thing with EBC, and that thing is like so good, and I mean it's awesome. So I know what you're talking about when you said that it's the raised PVC, though.
Yeah, well, it's the same kind of patches that Doc has for Dark Angel Medical.
Right, and they last. You know, they last a long time.
Well, I had one of the Dark Angel Medical patches on my plate carrier when I was a cop, and I had it on there for years, and it's still in good shape. It's still on my plate carrier. I just don't wear it anymore.
Right.
Tombstone says postage to Australia will suck. If you want me to ship it to Australia or England or any place outside continental US, I'll have to find out what the postage is going to cost before I tell you what shipping and handling will be, because it's probably going to be pricey.
Yeah.
Derek Buckles says, any updates on the game? I was talking to Josh about that the other day. They're looking at expanding the game to include like mini games within the game. So that, you know, they've got a lot of stuff that they've been working on with that, and hopefully we'll get Josh on here very soon to give an update and show some more footage. Blues and G Music says, Dark Waters said something very smart when Kerry interviewed him about the big-time researchers. If they stuck together when approached by TVA, they would have the power of negotiating. They'd get paid. You're probably right about that.
What's that? What was that?
I was talking about how researchers, if they should stick together, especially when it comes to television.
Yeah, they should. Everybody should.
And I think there should be a much greater open sharing of information. I'm an open book, folks. Anything I know, anything I find, I'm perfectly willing to share.
Right.
I'm not gonna hold anything back and go, oh no, that's just from my private stash or my private people. I'm not gonna do that. I do plan on working on a documentary here very soon. I went to Durant, Oklahoma a couple weeks ago with my wife, and my intention was to go shoot a couple hours worth of footage down at Brown Springs. But the problem was it had rained so much down there. There was so much flooding. I couldn't get in there. the entire place was just a swamp.
Right.
My little SUV would have gotten stuck, and I would have been buried up to the axles out there. So
Well, I'm
planning another trip down there.
You know that I'm trying to do it here too.
Oh yeah.
So I'm just waiting for, like we talked about, you got to get the right equipment. I'm not going to go crazy like Mark and Kerry with, $65 million lens. I mean, we don't have the backing for that. Me too. I mean, I can probably some good stuff where I'm at right here in Ocala, but me and Dave been talking about combining both of them and putting it together, and presenting it all so everybody would know that, just to give you a heads up. So it's talking about it. I can't wait. It's just a matter of time and money. That's all it is, people. The way things have been going, God's going, we'll be blessed, hopefully. So
I'm hoping that this coming year that I can continue to grow the books, grow the market on the books, and get more books
that's
out.
On the back burner too. Something on the back burner for that, which you're not going to talk about, but yeah.
Right. No, I don't. There's a few things in the works that I can't really discuss just yet.
Right.
But hopefully, I'll have some exciting news in the very, very near future.
We're praying. We're praying. Believe me. That's
and keep your fingers crossed and say a prayer for us. Hopefully, this will work out. I was going to say something else, and I completely slipped my mind. I hate it when I do that. Kind of like when I go into the kitchen and open the refrigerator and like,
I do that.
Did I come in here?
I'm like, what am I looking for? Yeah, flat shit.
Yeah, that's gonna be awesome.
Some of the photos with you. Okay.
I've got a couple of Dogman encounters stories that were sent to me that I haven't had a chance to get on the show yet.
Okay.
I'm gonna get back on a more regular schedule. We took some time off for family, and my birthday is coming up. The first part of June, and I'm going to miss the first weekend in June. We're going to miss that show because my wife's taking me to out for my birthday. For her birthday, she likes to go to casinos, so I took her to a casino. For my birthday, we're going to a cabin in the woods. I want to get away from everybody and maybe shoot some awesome video.
Yeah, mine's coming up the 21st of June. Mine will be the 21st of June, so I'm in the same month as DA. Which is
that's the
same.
That's the funny thing is we're also born in the same year.
Yeah,
that's how we.
I don't know. That's how probably we connected along. Yeah, so it's crazy. But yeah, mine's June 21st. Mine 21st is DA's is the June 1st. So we'll be. I don't know what I'm doing for my birthday. Beyond who knows.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to that cabin and kick back and have a fire outside, and that's about it.
I don't blame you, man.
Get some writing done. Just enjoy the peace and quiet.
Mm-hmm. What in music? Okay, I know your own granddaughter still asks about you. Okay. All right. So we are 2 hours, 22 minutes into the show.
Yeah.
I didn't know what
we're reaching that point. Derek Buckles asks, he says, DA, will you have only latest books or some of your older books at the conference? I'm planning on having all of my cryptid books at the conference. I don't think I'm going to bring any of the sci-fi or any of the zombie books, but I should have all of the Apex Predator, including the new one that's almost done. The Apex Predator series, the Codename Wild Hunt series, the Lakeview Man series, and Nightmare Hunter. All those 4 series are what I'm planning on bringing to the conference because it's the zombie books probably really aren't for that genre of conference. But some of the other conferences that we're going to be going to, my wife is starting to reach out and started getting bookings again now that the Black Plague of the 21st century is almost behind us. We're going to start doing a lot more convention appearances.
Right.
And she's planning like long distance from here. So I'm in Missouri and she's looking at ones in Florida and ones in California and ones in Washington State, including one up in Ontario. And I'm like, honey, well, I don't know if we're going to make the one in Ontario.
Yeah.
But we're looking to hopefully come up with the money to buy a trailer to tow behind the vehicle, behind our little SUV, that we can bring the books in and have our table set up and everything.
Lene, what is that? Lene, good night, honey. Thank you for being on the show. Appreciate it.
Good night. Thank you for being here.
Awesome. Iron Digger's on. I didn't know she was on. I didn't see that till now.
Awesome. Again, next few days, hopefully we'll have something up about the patches where you can order those.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to try to be adding some new t-shirts. As soon as I can get the art upscaled, we're going to have posters available as well of some of the book covers. I might even, if we get those done in time, I might try to have a few of those on the table at the LBL conference in Paris, Tennessee. And if anybody who's interested in those, then they have something they could hang on the wall or on a t-shirt or something like that. So we got a lot more stuff in the works.
I'm gonna have exclusive t-shirts with John and Wig, if it's possible.
Those are gonna be awesome.
You want to show a picture?
I don't have it on my computer. It's on my phone.
Okay. All right. I'll send it to you. I know he's gonna be pissed.
We better not. He might kill you.
He's listening to it right now. I can hear him.
I'm just going to see him walk on camera with a bat.
He'll be like, yeah. But we should get one done in a cartoon version, like you did with Doc.
That would be awesome. I hear him hollering at you.
Yeah, he's yelling.
We have revealed this once before on the show, but I'm going to go ahead and show it again. This is the cover for Apex Predator Dark Moon. It's not the final cover. It's the concept. There's a couple of things I want to tweak on it, but this is the image that I like. There's a couple of things, again, I want to tweak about it. But this is by and large what it's going to look like. And I'm pretty happy with it. It's an awesome cover. And Adam did a fantastic job with this. So look for that very soon. Getting ready to clock you.
You suck. He just can't. He's yelling at me right now.
Hey, DA.
Yes, sir.
Try not to invite Steve Lilly to the cabin, okay?
Man.
Yeah, I reached out to Cameron Buckner from Dixie Cryptid to see if he would pop on the show for the 100th episode, but he had a house full of family and said he was unable to do it, but he did wish us a happy 100th episode.
He said Cam Butler was trying to come, he had family. He couldn't make it. John can't hear you because I got the headphones on, but there he is.
Hi, John.
That's my uncle. Everybody, that's my uncle. My one.
Yeah, John was on the show once before.
Yeah. He's like my father, my other father, man, after my father passed.
This guy sucks.
That's my other father right there. Yeah. But yeah, go do it. Show the book cover, and I'll let me mute this, and I'll be right back.
Okay.
All right, brother.
All right.
Let me mute it.
And again, remind everybody of the conference. It's going to be on August 13th of this year. Ken Gerhard's going to be there. Josh Turner, Ron Murphy, Nick Redfern, Bettina Moss, Nick Valente, Jay Tucker, David Weatherly, Steve Stockton, Barton Nunnally, Jody Cook, Tony Merkel, Kenny Irish, Elijah Henderson, Kuhnbo Baker, and me. Tim Kuhnbo Baker is going to be a wonderful speaker, and as well as Barton Nunnally. I'm a big fan of both of those guys. Well, I'm a big fan of pretty much everybody on that list, but I'm super excited to meet some of these guys face to face and be able to share some of these ideas and discuss our different theories on not only Dogman, but Bigfoot and even the other cryptids as well. But I hope to see you guys with us in Paris, Tennessee. The link to purchase tickets, I posted that. I think I'll go ahead and share that again, just to make sure. There's the link again. In case anybody, the tickets are $30, which is not bad. The venue is big, but there is a cap of 400 because that's all the venue will hold. So get them while they last, because they are running out pretty quick. Hope you guys will be able to come to the conference. I'd love to be able to hang out and chat with everybody. Again, we're going to have the patches up on the website in the next few days. Got to get with my son to not only design the web page for the patch, but to be able to set up how payments are going to be processed too. So I need to look into what shipping and handling is going to cost and things like that. So we'll get with you on that here in the very, very near future. I'm so happy to have these patches. I'm beside myself. Big thanks to Kerry Pocket Doc Davis for making that happen. He wasn't able to get with us tonight. He was with family as well. And Steve Wildman Rodas unfortunately had to go help his daughter whose car broke down. So, Steve, if you're listening, brother, thank you for being part of this crazy journey. We've had some amazing people help us get here. Not only all of you in the audience, but Naomi Finn was a big part of getting us here. My brother from another mother right there, Anthony, has been a big part of getting us here. Pocket Doc Davis, Steve Wildman Monrotis, Josh Jones, the list goes on. And I apologize if I miss any names, because this was not ever a solo project. This has been a labor of love by a lot of people. And it's an amazing journey. I can't believe we made it to where we are in just a year. 100 episodes, the number of supporters of the channel. It's just been an amazing, amazing journey. And I'm not planning on stopping anytime soon. So hopefully you guys will be along for the journey, and invite your friends. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share the channel. And anybody that enjoys this type of content, be that creepy, horror related or cryptid related, we'd love to have them join us as part of the family. As I've said many times, and I will continue to say it, we don't have fans, we have friends. And I thank each and every one of you from the bottom of my heart for being part of the family here at DAX Machina. It's been an incredible journey, and I look forward to seeing where this journey takes us over the next year, 2, and beyond. Again, thank you guys so much. I love each and every one of you. It's been an amazing journey. Hope you'll check out the books over at daroberts.net. Watch for Apex Predator Dark Moon. I'm very close to getting it finished into edits. I'm going to have that ready and at the conference, and hopefully maybe one more I can get done before August. Maybe I can have 2 brand new books on the table come August. So keep your fingers crossed. The next book's on the plate, as in anybody that's been following my Facebook page, or especially the patrons over at Patreon. The next book's on the plate. I'm working on a fantasy project called the Blood and Redemption Saga. That one's 30,000 words in. I've got a sci-fi project that's probably 20,000 words in. And after Apex Predator, the next big one on the block is going to be Codename Wild Hunt, Death in Dyatlov Pass. And if you're familiar with the Dyatlov Pass story, you're going to know right where that takes place. So I'm super excited about where these are all going. I cannot wait to see where the next one takes us. And my first book was released 10 years ago this year. In the first week of July, it will be 10 years since I published my first novel. And now I'm 25 novels in, and I'm just getting started. I can't wait to see where the next 10 years take us and beyond that. One of my favorite writers is Cormac McCarthy. Cormac's in his 90s. He's like 95, and he's still cranking out books. Fantastic writer. If you haven't read anything by Cormac, you should. I mean, he wrote The Road, No Country for Old Men. Just an amazing writer. And I hope that I'm well into my 90s and a crotchety old fart still cranking out books. At least that's my plan. Thank you guys so much. Thank you guys for being a part of this journey. Thank you guys for being a part of the family. I've said it many times, and that's something I'll always say. Stories are journeys that we take together. And thank each and every one of you for taking this journey with us. And again, once more, I want to dedicate this show to my buddy David. He was a fantastic artist, fantastic friend, and a great guy. Just one of the nicest people you would ever meet. Just an amazingly talented man in more ways than one. And we miss you, brother. And we'll see you again one day, hopefully. So again, thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys so much. And we will see you guys this coming Wednesday. I've got to get the show set up, and we'll announce who's going to be on the show then. But next Saturday, we'll have Jesus Payan, who was on earlier, from Breaking Bad, well-known actor and Bigfoot researcher. So see you guys this Wednesday. And again, thank you guys so much for 100 episodes. And here, let's do 1,000 more, shall we? Thank you guys, and everybody have a great night. Brother, thank you much.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Love you, man.
Thank you for joining us. Catch us again Wednesdays and Saturdays on DAX Machina. A special thanks to all our channel members and Patreon supporters. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe.